We're going to call this closed session meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. on June 16th. And tonight we will have a closed session. And do we do a roll call? Roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Crosby.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Kashiwagita.
Present.
Mayor Hepburn.
Here. Tonight we have a closed session, and we will have our attorney, Kim Barlow, read the information of why we're going into closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Negotiators, city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney. Employee organizations, Laverne City Employees Association, Laverne Firefighters Association, Laverne Police Middle Management Association, Laverne Police Officers Association, and all unrepresented employees. And we have conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Gonzalez versus City of Laverne. Case number is reflected on the agenda, and I do not expect any reporting.
Thank you. So at 5:31 p.m., we are going to recess into closed session. We reconvene at our normal regular council meeting at 6:30 p.m. Okay. With that, we're going to start the meeting tonight at 6:34 p.m., Monday, June 16th. Mr. Doma, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Crosby.
Present.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Kashiwagita.
Present.
Mayor Hepburn.
Present.
All present, sir.
Everybody here.
I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules of decorum, all speakers, members of the audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and not to engage in conduct that interrupts the orderly conduct of the city council meeting. Also, public comment through Zoom will only be accepted for the agenda items listed from the consent calendar. Public hearing and discussion calendar sections of the agenda. General comment. What's this? More. What? Sorry, we're kind of free-forming tonight, as you can see by our clothes tonight. We're just it's a little hot outside. It's been a long day, so we're gonna anyway. Zoom will only be accepted for the agenda items listed with the consent calendar, public hearing and discussion calendar section of the agenda. General public comments will be accepted at the meeting by those physically in attendance at the appropriate time. Tonight, we are very pleased to have Air Force Staff Sergeant Diego Valle to conduct the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Valle, please come forward.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Diego Valle, Staff Sergeant. It's a beautiful Monday, isn't it?
Beautiful.
All uniformed personnel, veterans, emergency services, put your salute. Everyone else, civilians, hands on your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
If you could just stay there, sir.
Sure.
Gotta take a tally of different branches of service that come here to represent tonight. All the veterans in the house, I know we have many great veterans. Today we're going to honor an amazing Staff Sergeant of the United States Air Force. Now, being a Staff Sergeant, I can tell you, I am not a Staff Sergeant, but I can tell you amazing Staff Sergeants that they are. And he is one of the Staff Sergeants that it takes a lot of time. It doesn't happen really often. A lot of schooling, a lot of classes. I got to know you, lovely wife, city.
I got it right here. Oh, gotcha. Well, again, good evening, everybody. I was a staff sergeant in the Air Force. I come from a family of immigrants. So, getting to where we are, it takes a lot of progress. And, the work and dedication that goes into everything that's emergency services just everyday people do. It really means a lot to everyone, and, to somebody. So first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for just what you do on the daily. As for myself, I have my beautiful wife, Marcella, and my 2 children, Leo and Eli. And I was air transportation, 2 Tango 2. That's right. No. I was loading cargo onto aircraft. Yeah, but you know what? I had a lot of fun doing it.
Awesome. Where are you stationed at?
Originally, I was first stationed in Anchorage, Alaska.
Ooh.
Yeah, brutal. It was brutal. Yeah, no.
Where'd you go from there?
Travis Air Force Base.
Okay.
It's Northern California.
Awesome. How many years did you do total?
6.
Great
6
years.
total.
That's
Yes.
awesome. That's why I'd like to present you. All right. How is this better? Oh, you should never have done that, Staff Sergeant. You know, when you give a commission officer a microphone, we talk forever. Oh my God. Okay. City of Laverne certificate of recognition presented to Diego Valle. This certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to Air Force Staff Sergeant Diego Valle with sincere gratitude and appreciation for your dedicated service to our country. God bless you, Airman.
Thank you, sir.
Hold up.
Oh, picture.
Damn. Yeah, come on up, Marcella. Come on up.
Mr. Gilmore, roll call.
Okay.
Let's do it again.
Here.
See what I said? We're all here. Thank you. I don't know.
Poor Timmy.
I don't know. Just leave me alone.
We love you, Tim. We love you. We still love you.
Tonight, the police department will honoring Chaplain Kevin Yavarte, pronounced Yavarte. I don't know why they said that. I know your name. I know how to say it. For his 13 years of dedicated service for department and community. Mr. Gonzalez, please come forward. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Today I have the honor and privilege of honoring, we call him Pastor Kevin for short, because his last name is a little difficult to say, but we butcher it many, many times. For the last 13 years, Pastor Kevin has been there for our officers, our staff, and has shown up during difficult calls to offer quiet support during times of loss, and has reminded us of the strength that comes from compassion, faith, and as well as presiding over several weddings throughout the department. He has also been there for many in the community, responding to families in crisis day or night without hesitation. He would show up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He was there for us. In that time, he's also volunteered with youth sports, high school, Christian clubs, and military families. A quick fun fact about Pastor Kevin, he was chosen to open a session of the U.S. House of Representatives in prayer in Washington, D.C., and he represented in a Laverne police uniform. Kevin has done all this while leading his church in Covina, mentoring youth, supporting military families, and raising 2 sons who have gone on to serve the country, one in the Coast Guard and one in the Navy. The kind of dedication speaks to the kind of person he is. Kevin, I want you to know how much we appreciate everything you've done for our department. You've been more than a chaplain. You've been a trusted friend and a part of our Laverne family. On behalf of the Laverne Police Department, please come on up here. We want to thank you for being with us, and we wish you all the best, and we pray that God watches over you and your family. It allows us to do that. So I'd like to recognize you here with the badge you wore for that time in Lucite. We'll show it to everybody here. This is what it looks like. As a thank you for everything you've done. Yeah. There you go. Thank you again. Let's take a photograph.
Hold it. First of all, the many functions I've been to, you've always been there, and we really appreciate it. You're the smiling face and the calmness that the city needs, and you've always been amazing to us and on God's word. So thank you very much. On behalf, this certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to Police Chaplain Kevin Yavarte, with sincere gratitude and appreciation for providing emotional, moral, and spiritual support to our officers for over a decade. And without the wonderful wife you have, you wouldn't be as great as you are. So, and you have a son. So remember, behind every good man, there's an amazing woman. So anyway, congratulations to you, and thank you for your service to our wonderful community. And we're always around for you whenever you want to come by. You can come in and sit in my chair if you want, please. We could be somewhere else, you know? But no, thank you again. You've done an amazing job. And we're really, really proud of you. And the Lord's word has been always wonderful. And you're always so calm and always so gentle. And your words speak well. So thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Man. Rule number, never give a microphone to a pastor.
We have a 3-minute rule. Don't worry about it.
I just want to say how greatly I appreciate this, Chief. Thank you so much. Laverne is and will always be part of our family. The first time I ever wore my uniform was, in fact, the day before my mom died. And she wanted to see me in my uniform before she passed. And Chief Pickwick gave me that opportunity to do that. And so this means everything to me. Laverne has and will always be my family. We will continue to pray for all of the officers and everybody in the city. And Chief, I mean this, we are always here for you if you ever need anything as well. So thank you all. God bless you all. And keep up the great work.
Let's bring it up.
I do want to say one more thing, and I apologize. I do want to thank my wife and my son who have been with me on those 2 a.m. calls when I haven't been around and have been very supportive. So thank you both very, very much. I appreciate that.
Good call.
Teamwork. Thank you.
Everything's now switched. Yeah. Everything's left. All right. One day we'll get some money. It'll just be like 2 buttons right here.
Yes, no, yes. Easy button.
Easy. That was easy.
Oh, there she is. They're loud. Prior to moving on, I want to take this time to recognize that tonight we'll be adjourning this council meeting in honor of John Davis. John passed away on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, at the age of 75. Born July 19th, 1949, he was originally from Worcester, Massachusetts. He moved to California to attend UC Berkeley, where he earned a bachelor's degree in history and economics and a master's degree in business. Since 1996, when Haven Management partnered with the city in the purchase of the Laverne Mobile Country Club as part of the Sports Park Construction Bond, John has been a valued and trusted partner. Over the last 29 years, his leadership in managing the city-owned mobile home parks has been of great assistance to the city, and his insight and guidance on broader issues affecting Laverne have made a lasting impact. More than a business partner, John was a dear friend to many city employees, a kind, steady presence whose contributions extended well beyond contracts and meetings. John is survived by his wife, Joan, daughter, Catherine, son, Michael, and sister, Ellen. In his memory and with gratitude for all they gave to this community, we will adjourn tonight's meeting. Katie, if you could come up. I've got something for you. If we could all go down there, guys. I'm not going to read this. This is for your mom. But thank you very much. She's going to be missed. We're here for you. We're a family. So we look forward with you taking the helm. And I know that he had nothing but trust in you. And you're going to rock the boat, which is good, because that's what he'd like to do, quietly, though. You won't be so quiet as he was. But thank you, and this is for your mom. And on behalf of the city of Laverne, we really appreciate the service you guys have given to our community, our residents. We have 7 mobile home communities, and they are the lifeblood of our community. They're 55 plus, and they service the needs, and we really appreciate what you've done for our community. Would you like to say anything? Okay, we're good. Okay, let's get a picture. Rick, would you take the photo?
I was already so sorry I was not there.
This is the time we set aside for announcements, upcoming events, and we will look at this. Is not for this is only for announcements and upcoming events. Public comment will be at the end of the meeting. We have Jamie Riley. Come on down.
Good evening, Mayor Hepburn and council members. I'm here on behalf of Laverne Friends of the 4th of July to share the details of this year's 4th of July celebration, which is just a few short weeks away. This year's theme is Stars, Stripes, and Service. The day starts with a pancake breakfast from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 at the Methodist Church on D Street. It's sponsored by Boy Scout Troop 411 and costs $8 a plate. Then we have our traditional parade. The pre-parade Harley ride will begin at 9:40. The rest of the 4th of July parade will follow at 10 a.m. The parade's grand marshal will be our Laverne resident firefighters and the Laverne Fire Department, honoring their brave service battling the Bright, Eaton, and Palisades fires. There's still time to participate in the parade, with applications due June 19th, and the Harley ride applications are due July 1st at noon. Starting at 4 p.m., the Methodist Church will host a Asian Pacific Islander barbecue, serving barbecue, noodles, egg rolls, rice cakes, and more. $20 for adults and $12 for children. We'll wrap up the day celebrating with a fireworks show at Bonita High School. The gates will open at 6 p.m. The show starts at 7 and concludes at 9:30. The band, the Silverados, will provide live entertainment during the event. Admission to the fireworks show is $20 per person, 5 and above. Children 4 and under are free. There is a pre-sale going on now that's $15 if your tickets are purchased before June 27th. Tickets will only be sold on the day of the event until they are sold out. We're still looking for sponsors, so if you're interested, you can email the Friends of the 4th Laverne at gmail.com. We hope everyone in Laverne comes out to celebrate together and show their community spirit this 4th of July. All this information can be found on the city's website, where you can also find a link to purchase your fireworks show tickets. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, Kathy Kalusik.
Good evening, everyone. Kathy Kalusek, Vice President of our Laverne Historical Society. Want to give you some updates about our international truck. We have a new braking system, so it's going to be all safe.
It'll stop now?
Yes, that's kind of a big deal. And it is in the shop getting the bed on, and we expect it will be in the parade for everybody to enjoy. We, of course, are still, working on paying all these repairs and things. So Sherry and her husband have made a brand new batch of peach mango jam. There is a spiced flavor.
Are those $10?
Is 10 for the big. I've got some little for $5. The spiced is, has cinnamon and ginger in it, and the other is regular. So got a few here tonight. So grab them. All the proceeds go directly to our projects that we do and our restoration projects. And also, if you don't have membership, we've got our memberships, 20 for individuals, 25 for families, and 200 if you want a lifetime, and then you don't have to think about it. That makes it a lot easier. We, in the near future, but we don't quite have a date, that will be determined, we're going to have a little plant sale and some other things sometime after the 4th, but we'll be here at the meetings letting you know when we have the exact date and location. And I think that's it.
So you have what's that one?
I do. So it's peach mango, and there's a flavor that's spiced peach mango, and there's regular peach mango. And the larger ones are 10, and the smaller tasters are 5.
I'll take 2 peach mango.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have to go to the grocery store anymore.
That's the spice.
That's fine. We'll take one of each. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Lisette Rodriguez, HR Analyst.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I've wanted to announce that the City of Laverne is a proud partner with the American Red Cross. So we will be doing a community blood drive, and that will take place on Monday, July 15th. It will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. here at City Hall. There is an incentive for donors. They will get a Fandango movie ticket of $15, and every donation saves 3 lives. So I really hope that everyone comes out and contributes to this good cause. We will also be posting on our social media content to provide the link for people to schedule an appointment.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Yeah, so it's going to be right here at our small conference room where we'll be taking in appointments.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Adrian Romero, Laverne Library.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I'd like to introduce a few activities that will be taking place at Laverne Library. This Friday at 2 p.m., we'll be holding a program for teens called the Manga Connection to Old Japan. During this workshop, manga author Sunny Sakai will teach people about the history of manga, and then after his presentation, teens create their own manga character. Funds for this program was provided by Friends of the Library. And on Wednesday, June 25th at 5, we'll be holding a stick structures program for children ages 5 to 12. During this program, they'll learn about rule breakers in architecture, and then they can test their engineering skills by building a stick structure with others. And on Saturday, July 5th at 2 p.m., we'll be holding a Dave Pilkey book party for children ages 5 to 12. Dave Pilkey is a children's author who created popular characters like Dogman and Captain Underpants. And during this program, children can participate.
Yes, you hear that?
Can participate in a number of games and activities related to his books, and they will also be given the opportunity to create their own comic strip. And also, I want to mention the library will be closed this Thursday in observation of Juneteenth.
Oh,
okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate it. Again, thank you for your service to the country. Also, anybody else for announcements? Evan, I can see you.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a couple of announcements. If you can't make the blood drive on July 15th, the University of Laverne is having a blood drive on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday at the Leo's Den Abraham Campus Center at 2000 2nd Street in Laverne. So check out the university for that information. But if you can't make it then, or maybe you want to do it twice, who knows? Also,
not the same day, please.
The other announcement I'd like to make is that Cassie, our Cultural Awareness and Social Inclusion Group, will be doing little libraries this weekend, this Sunday, in honor of or to honor the Pride Month. So we will meet at 12 p.m. in the parking lot next to Church of the Brethren and visit our little libraries. The other thing I would like to mention is that Cassie will have a float in the parade this year. So I don't think we have a meeting before, right here? Yeah, okay. So our Cassie July meeting will be on Tuesday, July 1st, and then we will be decorating on Wednesday, July 3rd. So if anybody's interested in coming and helping us decorate, that would be great. And yeah, that's about it. Wednesday the 2nd, sure. Is it the 2nd?
Sounds like I started the meeting.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, can we nail that down?
Oh, I was looking at July. You're right. Okay, so on Thursday the 3rd, we will be decorating. And if anybody's interested in coming and helping that, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We have some students from the University of Laverne. You want to come up and introduce yourselves real quick? Come on. Come on. You have the mic.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Heath Williams, and alongside my fraternity brothers, we are we're members of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Even more so, we're founding members of the Phi Upsilon chapters here at the University of Laverne. Thank you so much. But even more so, as community servants, it's a pleasure for us all to be amongst you. Even more so, as our service is not limited solely just to our campus, but even more so, our local community surrounding. So the opportunity to work alongside you all collaboratively will not even more so just be a luxury afforded for the university, but even more so us on behalf of students. It's a pleasure to be amongst you, and we look forward to working alongside you in the future. So have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Anybody else on announcements? Okay, there's a couple items we did not put on here. We have the last two Gold Line A-Line station openings. This Friday, June 20th, the Pomona Station dedication is at 1:30 p.m. Now, this Saturday is the last and the finest of all of the Gold Line Station openings, which would be Laverne. And that starts at 10 o'clock sharp. You all know where the station is now. You've seen it enough now. You can park in there. That's going to be great. These are just dedications. The Gold Line A-Lines probably won't open until late July or mid-August sometimes. It's Metro's call. They're taking over them. They're doing their run tests. You will start seeing a lot more trains. You'll probably, the day of the dedication, you'll be seeing trains going by. So it's kind of cool. So that's...
Where are we on quiet zones?
That I don't know. I'll have to check.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
more
Dillman.
after the double track project.
Probably the double tracking.
So as part of Metrolink.
So that you should come. They're going to have some drinks and some snacks and some fun stuff. So they'll have little buttons and pins and stuff for the Gold Line. So this will be the last station until we go. The funding is on for Laverne, or not for Laverne, but to Claremont, and for Claremont to Montclair. They're in negotiations right now because the bid that came in from Kiewit Parsons, which was their main person that's done all of the stations from the inception from Union Station, was considerably higher than the budget was. So they're working on a different style of construction management contract. So they're working on that right now, and they're negotiating with the San Bernardino County portion, which is SBCTA, which goes into Montclair. And it's very important we get to Claremont to Montclair because ultimately we'll connect to Ontario Airport, which for all of us, that would be just an amazing, run. So that's coming. With that, no other announcements. I'll close announcements. We move to the consent calendar. Also, before we do that, we did have a closed session, but we had nothing to report. Is that correct? Attorney Barlow? Thank you very much. Forget that. Move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the City Council or a member of the audience requests separate discussion or just wants to make a statement on one of the items. Council, do you have any requests to pull an item? I have a comment to make, and on the consent calendar, there are some items on there, and this is the process where we're going now. We have on one of the agenda items, it's our one of our tree trimming companies, which I'm really pleased to see that'll be coming up. That we really worked on that and had multiple bids and really tore it apart and looked in it and see what was the best service to our city. I would like to see that on all these other contracts. I do see some things in some of the electrical contractors, which I have a little bit of knowledge in, and I think that that's something we probably need to look at down the road, which we've been doing to each one. And I think as we're only extending these a year, that next year we'll start looking one at a time and starting to bring them forward with competitive bids and looking at other things. And I know that waste management, we're coming up on a 2-year contract on waste management, and I know that waste management does a lot of great things for our city. And there's a lot of things going on with hauling now, also with the new things for some of the waste that we have now and some of the digestibles, I guess you could call them, and some of the things that we're throwing away, and the state mandates are crazy right now. So we'll be discussing that with waste management in the very near future and seeing how we move forward. But I do appreciate how they did this time with the one we'll be reviewing tonight, but we need to look at each one of these, break them apart, and find out where we're at and find out the competitive bids from other ones, or they're not competitive bids from other companies, and that's where we stay with them. But with that, do we have anyone from the member of anybody has pulled something from the consent calendar from our audience?
No email request to pull any member or any item from the consent calendar, sir.
With that, I need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second. Vote, please.
The consent calendar was moved by Crosby, seconded by Lau, and approved 5-0.
Beautiful. Thank you. Public hearings. There are 4 public hearings tonight, all of them dealing with our landscaping and maintenance districts. The City Council previously adopted resolutions setting June 16th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. as the date of the time for the public hearings for the subject assessment district. I'm going to ask if our city manager, he's already here, Cody Howling, come on up and lead us through the 4 public hearings. Each one is requiring its own separate vote. Mr. Howling, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. Yes, as stated, this is the opportunity each year that we bring back to the City Council for consideration the process to levy the annual assessment for the city's landscape and lighting maintenance districts. There are a total of 3 landscape lighting districts on the agenda tonight that we'll go through, and then the last one is very similar but slightly different, and that's a Municipal Improvement Act of 1913 district. So we'll go ahead and start with number 6. I'll give council a few highlights. If there's questions, be happy to answer them, and we'll move through the order as the proceedings require. So starting with landscape and lighting maintenance district number 6, the recommendation this evening is that City Council adopt the attached resolution providing for the annual levy and collection of assessments for the special zones in District 6 for fiscal year 25-26. A few things I'll highlight to the council on this particular one. As council probably does recall, last year we went through a process that involved ballot 2 zones. So the special zones were balloted. That was zone 4-1 and 4-2. The 4-2 zone rejected the proposed increases, whereas the 4-1 approved it. So this year is a little different from previous years. So you'll see for the 4-1 assessment, this is the first annual CPI inflator increase to the assessment, which is 3%. Zone 6 also gets that 3%, and that was part of the formula from the formation of that special zone. So the increase, 3% for zone 4-1 is a $4.59 increase per parcel to bring you to an assessment of $157.67 on the annual basis. And for zone 6, that is a $9.04 per parcel increase on the annual basis to bring to a $3.10 and 43 cents for that particular zone. That's per lot on an annual basis. As far as the rest of the zones, they're all set at maximum assessment with exception to zone 5, which we are, to be honest, healthy in the budget right now, and so we have an obligation to not over-assess where we don't necessarily need it. So that one is below the maximum. All the others are maxed out. The zone 3, highlight that to council, that is the one zone that does not have sufficient reserves built up currently to balance the budget. And so that particular zone, to address that situation for this year, staff's proposal is to, it's up to council's discretion, but either use general fund as a loan to that zone or use an inter-zone interdistrict interest-bearing loan. And we will return, if that is the case, with additional resolution to bring that to City Council's attention. Nonetheless, that's sort of the high view on District 6. I'd be happy to take any questions if Council has any.
And Mr. Mayor and Council, just real quick, we of course don't recommend dipping into the general fund because of our issues with the general fund. The interest-bearing inter-district loan would be basically to borrow from one of the other districts. What we're going to be doing over the next year is assessing all the districts and looking and bringing modifications to the landscaping. The water costs are the largest, followed by electricity costs to those districts. So we're going to be looking at reducing those to right the districts, specifically those that do not have escalators or were voted down. Also, the state has a lot of unfunded mandates, and one of those is to talk about what is called non-functional turf. What that means is basically lawns in the green grass areas. So those require a lot of water, and we're going to be looking at removing those and bringing in xeriscape type of landscaping. So we do look to have that loan. We can bring that back if that is the direction. And during this year, we're going to be looking at all those modifications to bring these districts into alignment with the revenue that they produce.
Did not say how much that would be, the loan?
Yes, yeah, good. Thank you. The loan amount for this annual basis would be $2,814 to balance the budget. So that'd be just for this fiscal year, 25-26, but that would be the amount.
And generally, the interest is like a basis point above or 100 basis points above what would be your LAIF rate or what we could borrow from the state. So it's a lower interest, but it's paid between the loans or between the district funds.
Within the district, between the zones, yes.
So we would, because of the healthiness of Zone 5, is that correct? We would probably borrow from Zone 5.
That's certainly a possibility that we can look at it, if that's the particular one that makes sense the best, yes.
I think we probably should open up public comment on this, and then we'll move forward with that. Thank you, Cody. I'm going to go ahead and open up public comment. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Please. I remind you, this is only on the subject we're discussing right now.
Hi, I'm Virginia Beltran. I was born and raised here for 62 years.
If you could please just address the council.
Oh, that's right. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
It's been a long time. So I've been living here for 62 years, and I do get around a lot. I have a lot of family here. I believe one of the major problems we have as far as overuse of water is there are a lot of faucets in the parks and several other major areas where there's really bad leaks. Now, if, like when I had that problem in my homes, I just changed a nice little, the little rubber device that's, between, I'm sorry, I'm a senior, having a senior moment. But if it's a simple fix, that would cut a lot of usage that is unfortunately, even with the sprinkler heads, I have a Rottweiler that chews off ours. So I'm assuming we don't have Rottweilers running around chewing on perhaps squirrels. But if we can fix those as well, I know for sure we will see an improvement within a month's time, just like at the homes, right? So I thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other public comment? With that, we'll close public comment, bring it up the dais. I guess I have a little frustration because I know we went through the motion of Zone 411, which did not pass it. We went through the motion, and our residents have to understand that we don't make any money on these fees. We pay for the services to keep our median strips and all of our landscape lighting districts beautiful. And if we don't have enough money, I mean, I don't mind going to the well a little bit, not for a general fund, but borrowing. But, each district should be on their own accord, and they should have their own fund, and they should have their own monies. But we did have I don't know, we sent out information to the residents in that area. I don't know why they didn't show up. I don't know why they did not pass that. But what happens is when those districts in the areas, if we don't have the money to maintain these districts in the level that people are used to, we have to cut back the services. What that means is that ultimately it could not look as nice as people would like it to look. And that's when we send these things out. This is not a moneymaker. This is to pay for the service that the services cost to do these repairs. And we should always have money in the budget. We should always have a reserve, because there's always something, as we've known with our winds and the age of our trees. A lot of these median strips, as you've all seen, we just lost a couple trees this last week. We need to have that kind of money in the budget. But we also have to have that money in the budget to make sure that we can maintain these median strips, which we have a lot of them, or we have to at some point the council has to look at turning those back to the residents and let them take care of them. If they're not willing to take this on themselves, we carry all the insurance. Our vendors have insurance. They have all the equipment. They have workers' comp. They have their pension programs. They are a separate entity, but that has to pay, this pays for that. And it's just frustrating that we had a district that did not vote to do that. And now we have to go back and say, well, you don't have any money in your account. So we have to borrow from somebody else's account that did approve those fees to make their areas look good at all times to keep up with the maintenance. And as we know, with our climate and the heat and trees and the age and the drought we've had, we've lost so many trees in Laverne, and we've lost, a lot of landscaping stuff gets old. So I think when we do this in the future, when we have a landscape lighting maintenance agreement that needs to be passed, you guys really need to seriously think about the services and what your neighborhood looks like and the value of your homes. It affects everything there. So that's my comment. Mr. Crosby.
Question. If the fund is not is already below in reserves, what's the likeliness that fund would be able to pay back any loan? That worries me that we take a loan from a different section and then they're not it's not gonna be paid back.
Yes, of course. No, it's something we're looking at, and I think Mr. Doman and I are evaluating different strategies where we might be able to extract better value in terms of costs. So by cutting costs, if, let's say if we did go to vote and that one got rejected, obviously we can't go up, but what we can do is start looking at the costs. And as the mayor mentioned, yes, it may not be as flush and green as it was. We very well could be looking at more of a zero-scape type concept. I do appreciate rock gardens as a civil engineer, but yes, there are different things out there that can be done that would help diminish some of those maintenance costs, whether you're eliminating water or the turf maintenance through mowing, and so with that, there are certain capital costs that could be incurred and then paid back down over time, albeit the time could be very long. Yes, it's something that we're strategizing, and I think as the water rates come to clarity with real hard numbers later this year, I think we'll be in a better position to make true and real recommendations for council's consideration.
Yeah, and Rick, I too really don't like the idea of taking money from a zone that's been contributing to this, to have the beauty and whatnot, and have other districts decide that they don't want to pay anymore. I mean, that's not right, to take from those other districts that have put money in to make the whole area look good. If you're not willing to contribute to the beautification of your neighborhood, then so be it. I don't think we should be subsidizing or requiring a district that pays to use that money. Sound right?
Along those lines, Cody, my question would be, how would we, if we said no to the inter-district alone, would you come back to council and just say, this is what we're doing, or would we just assume that services would be cut and there would be an indication to that group? I wonder at some point, I know how tricky it was in terms of this many people have to respond, this many people have to actually turn something in, and we know how that gets with folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know we did, obviously we did something right with the other districts because they did respond accordingly. And so I wonder how much of this is an education piece, that they didn't understand that this is the consequence. Because I agree with my fellow council members that the folks who are funding should not be making up for the folks who opted actively not to fund it.
Absolutely. So this particular district with the loan, they have not been given the opportunity to vote yet. It's something that we're looking at. Their increase, as we were looking at different models of how we might be able to cover the budget, was significant. And so I think this is one of the ones where I think the reality was to go and ask for a significant jump. The likelihood of failure, I think, is a real risk there. And so rather than spending money on a Prop 218 vote and almost expecting a no, as much as we'd hope that they would see kind of what the benefit is, I think this is certainly one Zone 3 that the alternative strategy to drive down costs, and then as sort of a two-pronged approach, maybe increase revenue as a balance, certainly might be an opportunity to one that makes sense there. Water, again, kind of being a big feature of the current discussion. I think we only want to ask this question ideally once. We can ask it as many times as you'd like on an annual basis, just once a year. But with the effort and certainly cost, maybe more importantly, to bring that to the property owners, the voters, we'd like to prepare something that we feel would have at least a chance at some success. So, yeah.
Good. Hey, Meister, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Why not make it look all the same? I'm looking at meaning that along the metropolitan water districts, kind of like a nice, wonderful horse trail. Can we just continue that and just take out some of the grass that's not in use, and that way we can make it useful? People like to take their horses down there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is sort of interesting about each one of these special zones is each one's got its own story. They're different development projects, and so really subject to the time of when those are approved.
Yeah.
You'll notice that landscaping styles change from zone to zone.
Yeah.
Developer is the one that initially put those in. These were formulated and created so that the city then could take the reins and continue the maintenance. Now, unfortunately, in some sense, at least with respect to the landscape lighting districts, the rules change with Prop 218. Not to say it's not a good rule. As a taxpayer, I can appreciate the benefits that it brings. But nonetheless, the rules changed, and so that's how we've gotten to this type of position where we can't increase the assessments without going back to the voters. And, as asking, would you like to raise your taxes is know,
Well, not really.
it's a
raise the
difficult.
tax. I mean, is there a significant cost to make it look kind of the same so people?
Well,
they don't have any money.
There'd be a capital cost, so there'd be an investment up front that the city potentially would be the one to front if that was so council's choice, and then over time, you know, let's say if a project costs $10,000 for arbitrary numbers and the revenue was $2,000 a year, well, if you're ignoring interest completely, it would take 5 years to get a return on investment there in a sense. So there is a balance of time and cost that we'll have to evaluate. But if we could eliminate all costs, certainly it's something that can be considered. And as Mr. Domer mentioned, there is the possibility within these districts and within the code that we could sort of vacate, if you will, and hand it back to the properties owners if that's so their wish. Generally, these are general spaces, so it's not like, hey, this is my front yard, and so assigning responsibility, honestly, probably doesn't end up, frankly, very well with how it gets maintained, unless there's an HOA involved, which unfortunately is not the case for all of these situations.
I think we need to go to the residents here. We're talking 34 homes. You're talking an area that's been established for many, many years.
Yes.
We've also been kicking this can down the road on this for a long time. Okay, this just didn't happen overnight. And we need to let them aware of what's going on, because ultimately we're paying for something that association should be paying for. And again, no reserves, no money to do anything drastic. And that is the segue to Foothill Boulevard coming north on Wheeler Avenue, south of Del Taco. That's that community where those trees are massive, and it's an upkeep. I think we need to discuss it with the residents. I don't think we should be borrowing money in funds. Some of these funds, they're healthy because they've had their increases, and and the same thing is the same thing with the District 6
But
Zone
what
4
Cody
too.
has said, it's not that these residents have said no. We have not gone to them.
That's what I mean. We need to talk to the residents first and tell them this is where we're at. What are we looking at a cost increase, just generally?
Hey, Mr. Mayor, while he looks at that, remember last year we had a good study session. There's some good information on the city website about all the landscape and lighting maintenance districts. We did take those two zones because those were the two biggest zones to address. And we did learn a lot of information from going through the Prop 218. In the last year, we've had some changes. We have a new director in Public Works, so we had some changes there because this can be staff intensive. And then also we are also expecting to have the water rates in place, or any new water rates in place, by July 1. Now we're looking at a January 1. So we're going to be getting a lot new information. We also want to go through, because of the one district you mentioned, and readdress the public benefit out of that, and how much those 34 homes versus the citywide. Again, these things were set up decades ago.
Oh, that's what I mean.
And so
They're
that's all
antiquated.
that information
They're
we want to bring
antiquated
back
now.
to you. Yes.
It's not serving the purpose that was meant to be.
Correct.
And it's not keeping up with the cost of living and the cost of
absolutely. And so we'll bring
maintaining these
that
places.
back to the city council, again, in this next coming year, as to, is there additional public benefit? Is there something that should be going on with this district? And, based on the water rates and then the taking out of the landscaping, what does it bring? So we believe that on a majority of these districts that are, like you mentioned, south of Foothill Boulevard, some of the older ones, that with changes in landscaping, there can be some benefits, and the current assessments can continue to fund the district.
But right now, we're going to vote on District 6 for all these involved. But if we don't vote and make anything like, say, a loan, or we just vote on these and there's no money in Zone 3.
Well, what we'd like you to do is just as direction to tell staff to bring back for those loans that are, $2,025.
This is the only one this evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is Zone 3.
Which is,
We already
District
went through
6, Zone 3.
4 too, and it didn't. But we need to bring that back too, and we need to discuss it with our Public Works and what the maintenance is going to be like on Zone 4
Absolutely.
too. Because without an increase, that is one of the largest areas, Zone 4.2.
It is. It's Esperanza.
It is
and the
Esperanza,
hillside
and
up.
that is some of the most expensive homes in Laverne that require a lot of maintenance. Those walkways and those areas of Esperanza are extremely old now, and they're going to require maintenance on concrete, walkways, and all of that area. They're becoming very mature. The trees are getting huge. I mean, this is a big concern of mine, because this is a segue to Northern Laverne also. And, you know, they just voted it down. It's like, well, this money doesn't come out of rocks. You know, this is it's just so frustrating for me. We've got a beautiful community, and now they put your hand to say we can't maintain it like we're used to.
Mayor, you had a question on what the cost would be to increase just this year. So taking the difference, the deficit, if you will, divided by the number of units, that's about $82, $83 or so per parcel. So their annual assessment this year is proposed at $99.59. So not quite 100%, but obviously with inflation, we very well may be at nearly 100% increase next year. $100, okay, over the course, that's for an entire year. There is a cost there, but 100% is, when you look at that, it's a bump, certainly.
I mean, shame on us for not pushing this forward. Different management, whole different situation. We should never let these things go like that. And I think it's ridiculous because, I mean, you're talking about, an 85% increase, but like Councilmember Lau said, it's $10 a month.
Yeah.
To have beautiful maintenance, have it maintained, have it watered, have the trees trimmed or removed and plant new trees. And for a small community like that to take over the lighting, the maintenance, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't have the insurance. They're mowing their own yards. I mean, it's like you're not going to have that. So, Council?
My concern, if it's not a loan from another district, it's coming out of the general fund.
I 100% agree.
And we have later on talking about our budget and our general fund and deep discussions on that, which is going to be a while too. And a lot of those residents that live there, though, you talk about, they weren't the original owners. They weren't part of there when it first started.
No.
A lot of them moved in and said, wow, look at this great
Agreed.
area. And thinks the city always maintained it and took care of it. Yes, it's a little part of their taxes. There's not a little bump, but seeing an increase to that too, I think they would believe the cities need to take part of it, but we can't afford that ourselves.
Nope.
Well, and this goes back to my point about education, right? I think if you went to anybody and said, can I increase your taxes? Everybody's going to say no. There's nobody that's going to be like, yeah, sure, it sounds cool.
Yeah, awesome.
But if you said,
you.
Here are the consequences, here are the impacts.
I love it.
Then
Can't wait.
Then you can make an informed decision, and you may not like it, but you understand what you're getting for it. But if you're just going to say increase the tax, that doesn't make sense. So I think, to Councilmember Crosby's point, some of these people are subsequent buyers that had no clue that that's what they were buying into, have no idea what this means. That the city takes care of it, but it's for their benefit. So I think we need to look at that and really make sure that when we're trying to pass things or move things along, that we're taking the time to not assume that people understand what we're talking about and really providing that background and context. So,
and if we're going to take a loan and do what you're talking about and bring it back to us, we need to outreach to the residents, let them know what we're doing, let them know why we're doing this, and this is not sustainable, and that you have to come up with standards. I mean, we have to have these lighting landscape maintenance districts have a budget, have a reserve, and have the proper amount of money to make it work, especially like Esperanza. I mean, that's crazy. I'm sorry, it's crazy. It's one of the most traveled areas in North Laverne, and they voted down an increase to maintain their beautification of their green belts. So I think we're hearing that bring back on possibly borrowing from Fund 5 for that amount of money, but we need outreach to the residents immediately and tell them what's going on. And also to let them know that what you see today may not be what you see in 2 or 3 months. When this weather changes, which it's doing right now, right in fire season, that we need to let them know that something has to cut back, and you voted it down. Something has to cut back, Mr. Johnson?
I do not support taking away from a different zone that's paid the fees. I cannot support that.
I don't support taking it out of the general fund. So I mean, we're kind of at a point where either we just pass it as it is, and there's no money in that fund. So we have to figure out alternate methods of how it's taken care of. Elmer?
Yeah, and again, as you said earlier, this was not created over one annual year or something like that. So what we would ask is to give us time to bring that back, the education, and also, what the changes to the assessment districts would be. So with a, nod to what is the private benefit, what is the public benefit of not just those people who are paying the assessment, but can we reestablish, is there additional benefit to, the public by those who are driving through, gaining the benefit of the niceness of the area? But again, we need to understand better based on when there's decisions made on the water rate increases and what they're going to be. And so, Cody, when do you think we could be bringing all that back to the city council?
Well, certainly the education side, we can initiate that to this group, I think, fairly quickly, just as we'll discuss some strategies, whether it's a mailer or, other additional public outreach, just to let them know, hey, this is what happened for your zone. Maybe start that discussion with them. One of the things that I think would really help drive clarity in the conversation would be real, brass tacks. What are the numbers? What are we talking about? And once we get to those water rates and those get, more or less cemented into place, I think we'll have some real information, and then do some projections and give these folks an idea of, what is the bottom line, honestly, for them to make that decision, whether it makes sense for them or not. So we can certainly start with that outreach immediately, and then, as mentioned, following the water rate studies and those coming to conclusion, moving forward with a much more involved, maybe a recommendation to council for consideration of a 218 process for that group, as well as other ones that we will have in future items here in a minute.
When can you do the 218 process again on 4.2?
So the 218 process, you can only do it once a year. So last year we did it. We can certainly undertake it again this year. One of the things, and I think Councilmember Lau, I appreciate your points on the education. We did very strategically try to schedule meetings to have folks, come, get educated. What are we even talking about? That one, for example, stands out as my mind, as I think council made the direction to move forward with the ballots. We had a handful of days to put the ballots in the mail through processing and getting all the addresses and stamps, of course. And I think the last ballots hit the mailbox on Friday. I want to say by like Monday or Tuesday, before we could even tell them when the scheduled meeting was, we had a significant number of ballots returned. So one of those things that I learned from that particular is maybe starting some education with individuals in the HOA, if there's one example that maybe we could start pursuing. Getting it out there ahead of council. I will obviously want to be cautious and not go too far ahead. I know with the feedback I'm getting tonight, I think I'm getting a very clear picture that this is the direction we want to take for all of these that don't have a CPI. But again, I don't want to get too far ahead of council on certainly a Prop 218 ballot. So maybe something less specific in the sense of your rate shall be X value. Maybe something sooner we say, hey, look, community, let's get together. Here's the situation. Your budget, your revenue is not matching the budget. We're looking for the discussion to, in the future, when council directs so, increase your assessments. But this is when you get that letter, if that's so the direction, this is what it's about. So kind of prime the pump, if you will. Let them know that it's something that's coming down the road.
Well, and we also have to tell them the benefits of what we're doing.
Oh, absolutely. It's a direct benefit. I mean,
it's the value of your community. Come on.
It's their frontage on their properties. It's the thing that they drive by every day. Absolutely. That's why they're the ones that were originally set up with those various developments to pay for it. Yeah.
But, I mean, like Tabor, that community, they don't know anything that's going on. They just, and then shame on us, Now, we have people in place now. Let's get it out to them. Let's tell them the benefits of what we're doing, but ahead of the time. Because people, I say, nobody wants an increase, but you get the benefit and say, this is going to keep the value of your homes and everything else. Now, do we have to vote on this entire thing, or can we pull those two out? Does it have to be? I mean, there's all the other ones are fine. I mean, for 2 we can't do anything because they voted that down, and we're not at that time frame.
So,
but what about Zone 3?
Yeah, so I'll give council sort of a background on my schedule looking forward. So, what happens after this evening if council chooses to approve or continue or whatever the direction may be from council? We have to take these and go through a tax roll system with the county auditor controller's office. So the hard deadline would be August 10th. So I need a resolution approval before August 10th to get the tax bill. And if we don't make that, then it doesn't make the tax bill. So there may be some time for council to consider if you would like further, but there is a public hearing component as well, and I think I'll leave that to the city attorney to also elaborate on.
If I could weigh in, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing. We would have to continue the public hearing. I think all of the residents were notified.
It was notified through the obligation, so not necessarily a direct mailer to each resident, but it was posted.
Through the publication.
Yes.
Okay. We would have to continue it to a date certain. I think, understanding that the council wants us to do some further education and perhaps additional things, I don't think we have time to do a Prop 218 proceeding. No. So if you want to move forward with the assessments but not do the loan, we can defer that part of it.
That's what I was asking. Can we do that?
You can defer that part of it.
We can defer lighting Zone 3, deferred that for any decision on anything, whether it be a loan or a general fund.
I believe it's
no, we would be approving the levy tonight. So tonight, if council so chooses, the recommendation at least would be to approve that they get levied the $99.59.
And then we would have to discuss later on how we could increase that and
exactly
go to the residents.
So. What do we do with
the
20?
So we just approve it as it is tonight, with no loan and no general fund, period.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. That was we're not even worried about it now. Zone 5 does, Steve.
Zone 5 does have a surplus to the point where we're not maxing out their
general fund. We're just approving the rate tonight, which doesn't cover the maintenance of Zone 3 or 4-2. But at the end of the day, we're approving this, and we're going to come back to us.
Absolutely,
with costs on Zone 3, also what time frame we can go and reactivate 218, or just get it out to the residents saying this is what's going to happen as we go into summer with the maintenance contract we have now. This is what we can cover. That's where you have to go to the associations. You have to go and outreach to them. Social media, all that stuff. Because we didn't do social media last time. It's extremely important to let them know that, hey, we're trying to keep you beautiful here. But if you don't give us the amount of money we need, which is just what it takes to do this, plus some reserves for those things that happen, exactly. That didn't work well. It did not work.
No.
It just did not work. Okay, so I need a motion to approve lighting, landscaping, maintenance 6, District 6, correct?
Motion.
Second.
Vote, please.
Item was moved by Castelfagita, seconded by Crosby, and approved 5-0.
Okay. We will go to the next public hearings on landscaping and lighting District Number 7. Mr. Howard.
Yes, sir. All right. So very much similar conversation that carries forward to District 7. It does not have a CPI escalator. This is a district certainly that's on our radar to try to pursue. As had mentioned, the water rates being one of those things that we want to nail down before we get into real discussion of dollars. But expanding that discussion on education for residents is certainly going to be something that I think we take back as staff and move forward with. For this fiscal year, looking ahead for fiscal year 25-26. Sorry, my head's. I'm on the next number already.
Don't push the year ahead, please.
The assessment proposed for this year is the same as last year, and it's $693.26 per parcel. That reflects the maximum assessment for this district, and this district does not have a deficit. We are utilizing reserves to cover the balance, so revenue does not match costs. But they do have reserves for this year, and absolutely next year, as soon as we get those water rates pinned down, we will be, I think, recommending council consideration of moving to a Prop 218 process for this one.
So we have one more year of reserves on this one, possibly this year.
Yes.
We'll be dipping into reserves next year, or the reserves will be gone.
The reserves will be fairly thin next year based on my projections. So this is one that we would need to bring back to Prop 218 process. And now it could be a consideration of continued cut to services, but this is one that I have personally been in contact with the HOA, and at least the HOA board seems receptive to the concept of further discussions there. So
I think similar to the last one, the education process starts now.
Absolutely.
We are not waiting.
No, we have no reserves. And we can't be that way anymore. Just like our budget, just like our general fund, you cannot go into reserves. You have to have reserves for those rainy days, but it has to be self-substantiating and on its own 2 feet.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to go ahead and open up public comment. You done, Mr. Howling?
Yes, sir.
Anybody wish to speak on this item? Yes.
Once again, it's Virginia Beltran. When I worked in corrections many years ago, we used to have we would contract with our local recs, Parks and Recreation, and our inmates, of course, we took some crews out. While we, would supervise them, they would clean up the parks that needed maintenance done, that would have costed too much for the city itself. And I'm talking about Norco, when I worked in that prison at that time. And I know we have at least, I believe, 5 boys juvenile camps. It's Camp Rocky, Page, and several other. And perhaps you can talk to the person in charge there to contract with our city here so that they can go out and do the work. Because I would prefer that they go out and whenever there's fires, I would like to see, I'm always pre-problem opposed to aftermath. So, if they can get out there and do what they normally do during fire season, then being prepared would cut down on homes being lost, lives being lost, and all that other things. We got a lot of stuff going on already up in LA. So I think if we can maintain that within our own, area here, that would work perfectly. I agree with you, all of you, not to go into other people's funds. We used to do that in the prison, and that left us without revenues when real problems kicked up in our prison. So if you leave that alone, like I said, you could cut the costs with those, those juveniles who already do that anyways. I believe we would cut a lot of funds, and we would actually build for those ones who are lacking. That's my suggestion, to look into that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any other public comment? We'll go ahead and close public comment. Any more comments on this item? Okay. Direction is that we vote on this tonight if it's approved, but we get right on it and get out to these residents and get out to these communities like we've been doing, the HOAs. This is a huge area here. Again, another area that needs attention. They need the money to be able to keep them up, the values of the property. With that, I need a motion.
I'll move.
Second?
Clarification?
Yes.
We are not assessing or taking.
But after this year, it'll be not good. So second? Vote, please.
That item was moved by Lau, seconded by Johnson, and approved 5-0.
Next, public hearing, landscape and lighting in District Number 8. Mr. Howing, you're just a busy guy tonight.
It's my favorite time of the year. Landscape maintenance lighting District Number 8. This is the public hearing. Very much as the prior items, the recommendation is to adopt the attached resolution. Highlight for council on this one, the assessment for this year is proposed at $249.70 per parcel. That is unchanged. This one has a very healthy reserve right now. But I think the point's clearly taken from council as a group and the concept of LMDs.
I think we need to be readdressing all of our lighting landscape maintenance districts and going back. We need a healthy reserve, a proper fund that pays for the services. We don't have to do this again. With a CPI adjustment, whether it's a 218, nice that it's healthy, but at the end of the day, we want to make it so we don't have to go back to the residents every couple of years saying, oh, we didn't figure enough.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
That concludes my report. I'll keep it short and sweet on this one unless there's any other questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Howing. We'll open up public comment. Any public comment on this item? No? We'll close public comment. Any comment from council?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Vote, please.
That item was moved by Crosby, seconded by Lau, and approved 5-0.
And Mr. Mayor, if city engineer could also, these are annual items because they're going to be back every year regardless.
Yes, right.
It was those initial ones that still have issues that we need to think around. So,
Yeah, it's an important thing to highlight is it's per the code that we have to bring these back and hold an annual public hearing. On the consent calendar, there were some CFDs that the council approved. That's a different structure, so those, well, obviously they're in front of council for consideration each year. It's not a public hearing, but those were formulated in a different basis for the vehicle of collecting that revenue.
But I also think direction from council is to bring this back, not these ones especially, not annually, but bring it back with some education so that we can talk.
Well, the plan that how we're going to do it, how we're going to outreach, what we need to be levies, what actually really needs to be, especially with our water sewer rates, all this. We need to know what we have, what the community's going to pay, and outreach, social media to say, this is what's happening, this is what we're going to keep up, and this is what you need for reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And that we have to set also, we need to set a base on reserves too.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we've got it should, reserves for lighting landscape maintenance district should be 2 to 3 years as far as I'm concerned. If you can do that, because that way, if you have a time where there's an issue, you have those reserves to buffer. Right now, what's the reserves? I mean, you're almost out on one, and, except for 5.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're on a different.
Well, I'll just briefly to address that. There are some challenges with building a reserve that sort of a huge reserve that we can lean on. There are rules and requirements that we have to abide by. But for capital improvement projects and that type of things, there's also
under the
provisions
guise
that we can.
Of the law, we should
Yes,
be at the maximum
exactly.
level we possibly could on reserves,
Yeah.
like anything else.
So typically, 6 months cash flow and
Is that what
20% would be what my recommendation would be. But we can certainly look and say if there's a capital improvement that's on the 3-year, 5-year horizon, we can also kind of build a chest, if you will, to attack that issue.
Okay.
Moving on to this item, this is the public hearing for the Maintenance District 84-1. This one is a little bit different. It's not a Landscape Lighting Act. It's a Municipal Improvement Act of 1913. While different, it is although very similar in the sense that we are collecting revenue for folks to maintain certain facilities. This particular one is drainage facilities and landscape slopes on Esperanza Road. The assessment for this is going to be proposed to be flat, as it has been for many years in the past, at $8 per parcel for the typical single-family residential unit parcel. There is reserves being applied to balance the budget for this year.
Do we have a 6-month reserve in this one? Even with the balancing the budget using reserves, do we still have a 6-month reserve in there?
Sorry, I'm opening the report. I believe that we have a 6-month reserve on this one. This one also covers the slopes and maintenance for drainage up on Esperanza Road, so ensuring that is well maintained and does not create a situation where erosion or further damage might come from poor maintenance. That's the purpose of this one. So we do have enough reserve to keep us going through. Whether it's 6 months, I believe that to be the case on this one. I have to go back and revisit it, but this one, is my recollection, is healthy enough to where, while we are applying reserves this year to balance the budget, it is not as dire as maybe the other ones that we've discussed earlier this evening. But point taken on what we need to do with this as well.
Okay.
And that concludes my report.
Oh. Well, public comment on this lighting maintenance district number 84-1M. Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as the saying goes, I've got no dog in this hunt, but I am kind of curious. This has been $8 for 30 years. What hasn't gone up in 30 years? You're looking at all these others, and you're looking at our budget, and here's something, I don't know. I just don't get that one.
Point taken.
Sorry?
Thank you. Point taken.
Yeah.
Weird. Thank you. Yeah.
I believe this over larger parcels, and not a lot of work's been done. It's a maintenance. It's not the landscape where water and lighting is happening. It's really for
This is hillside.
erosion and making sure the storm drains, those things are done. So the cost of it is not there, but $8 is a lot cheaper, but it's still keeping it's good.
But again, it's been how many years? And not only that, with our fire areas, I mean, the clearance and all the stuff, especially with our slopes. Although we've been doing a bang-up job right now. Our areas with the fire department, our public works department, everybody's been doing an amazing job clearing out these areas, clearing them out fast. So we'll talk about that later. But any other comments on this item here? Yes. I'm sorry, public comment.
Ignorant and not addressing the mayor and all the council here.
You're fine.
Okay, it's been a while. I love the Lord, and I want to bring up maybe a portion in there of the Bible on how people rebuild, like say a wall that's gone down from say one edge of Laverne to the furthest part of Laverne. If everybody takes a portion of it, say in their own district, volunteers, people who have landscape companies, whatever, people will volunteer. I helped, well, thanks to God, I helped some churches who wanted to redo the landscape to make it more cost effective. Of course, your succulents instead of the lawns. So we all picked a date. We all showed up, and plenty of people show up, and they start doing the work because that's their specialized work in their own, personal lives. So I believe that once you put that on social media and maybe post it at where most people see the posts, laundromats or whatever. But I think social media most likely would be your hardest hit people viewing. But I believe that if we all put our part in our own districts, we will also take pride in it and see the outcome of our hard labor. That's my suggestion.
Thank you. Anybody else on public comment? We'll go ahead and close public comment. Any comments from AS? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. Vote, please.
For that item, I had it moved by Cashel Figuita, seconded by Lau, and approved 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Howing. Appreciate it. Discussion calendar. There are 4 items tonight on the discussion calendar. The first item is the annual partnership agreement with Laverne Chamber of Commerce. City Manager Domer, please call for the staff member who will be reporting. That would be Director Shear.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Tonight, I'm proud to present to you the annual agreement between the city and the Laverne Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to start by introducing incoming chair Josh Goldman, who's going to talk a little bit about the chamber activities, and I'll come back up and speak a little bit more about the specifics in the agreement. Josh.
Evening, Josh.
Hi, good evening. I'll just lean down. I'm going to try not to. Good evening, everybody. I know most of you, but for everybody listening online at home, in the audience, my name is Josh Goldman. I'm the incoming board chair for the Laverne Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to just recap a little bit about what the last fiscal year was, what we experienced, and then what we're hoping to accomplish in the coming year. As you know, in August, our former executive director, Leah Skinner, departed us. In the time being, we hired some part-time staff to assist with us. And due to internal and external factors, it just didn't work out the way we had hoped. And fortunately, Marlene Carney, who's here, was kind enough to step in and lend her expertise to help us get over the hump. And as of right now, I was just told we're going to be posting the new job posting after today, and we're hoping to have somebody hired by July 12th, which is right when our board retreat will be, when we're going to plan our calendar, look at our budget, and see what we're going to accomplish. But I want to take some moments to highlight what we were able to do last year. I would say one big thing we were able to do was keep our communication active with businesses. We got a lot of views on our website. Our member page still had views. Our directory saw 1.4 million views. Instagram followers is over 2,000. Shop Laverne page had almost 1,000 followers. We were still able to pull off a taste of Laverne. I know some of you were there. We were still able to do best of Laverne. That one, actually, we had over 6,000 people cast votes and a total of 28,000 votes. We were able to conduct a business survey, which we think is going to help us be more efficient next year with helping the economic sector of the city. and we were still able to do about 30 networking events. And working with City Manager Ken Domer and Eric, when we were looking at the contract, we were able to take a hard look and see, what are the things that we don't need to do anymore, and what are the things that we should really stress on. And some of the aspects that we're really looking forward to doing is, excuse me, I wrote some of them down. Just give me one moment. Really leaning to the banner program. That's a great thing. Laverne's a beautiful city. We get a lot of foot traffic, especially on Foothill. Why not take advantage of it? Let's highlight the businesses that we have. Really leaning to member engagement. Take advantage of going out and meeting with new businesses when they sign up. We're able to get the business licenses from the city. We should be talking to them right away and getting them involved. Our marketing committee, we have a lot of enthusiasm. We have a lot of expertise that's coming back to our board. They're really excited about doing a marketing committee. So by doing that, we think we're going to be able to really enhance what we can offer to different businesses, as well as leaning into partnerships with the university and other organizations in the city. Laverne's it's a small community. There's a lot of people that want to help each other, whether it's the Old Town Laverne, even the K&I and the Rotary. It's, we're all here together, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm also joined by some other board members that are here. You can wave your hands. So if you want to, happy to answer any questions you have or hand it off to them.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. We're going to open up public. Oh, Eric, go ahead.
Just some details on the agreement itself. The council may recall that 2 years ago, the subsidy that was increased from $40,000 to $45,000. As a result of this last year and kind of not having the executive director position, there were some things that were in that agreement that were not fulfilled. But there wasn't any kind of specific funding tied to specific programs. So one thing that we've done in this new agreement is to actually take $30,000 of the $40,000 and tie those to very specific programs, and with a clause that if for some reason those programs don't occur, that the city withholds the right to withhold that funding for those programs. 10,000 of the 40 would just be left over. Again, because of the city's budget constraints this year, we discussed, the city manager proposed that we would go back to the $40,000 stipend. There's also a $2,000 amount that's programmed up to help subsidize new business owners or new businesses in Laverne to join the chamber. So that is a total of $42,000 that is part of your budget. That is the next item on the agenda this evening. So those are the recommended changes. Both Mayor Hepburn and Councilmember Lau, as the Economic Development City Council Subcommittee, has worked with the city manager and myself on these changes, and they are recommending approval of this new agreement tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Director. Sure. Let's open up public comment. Chamber people, public comment, come on up. No? Juan? No? 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 Sure. Go ahead, Josh.
One thing I wanted to add is, everyone that's here today, we're here and assigned together to show you we're aware of what the last year was like, and it was not easy. And I don't think anyone here is going to lie to you and say that we're not very, very cognizant of the situation. But as I said, we have people coming back to the board. Everyone here is ready to roll up their sleeves and get it back to the place that it was a year ago.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else on public comment? We'll close public comment. Councilmember Lau.
So first of all, thank you, Director Scheer, and thank you, Josh, for coming up here, and everybody else from the chamber that's here to represent. I think a couple of things that I want to highlight as we went through and looked at this agreement and really wanted to focus on the intentionality. I think if you want to hang out and stay and watch us talk about the budget, or if you've watched our budget study sessions, Laverne is unique in the fact that we don't have big box stores, we don't have car dealerships, and we're dependent quite a bit on our sales tax and how property taxes are. And so I really want us to be much more intentional about how we're driving business into this city, making sure that they're healthy and that they're able to stay. And I appreciate hearing the connectivity to the university as well as to other potential partners in our city. And I think we really need to push that. I appreciate that the banners are there, but it's very passive, and that's very old school. And so I want to be frank about that. You've got these young gentlemen here from the University of Laverne. I see the dean of the business school is here as well. I think there's opportunities for partnership to really engage our students, but also to engage our community to really make this a thriving city so that we can make sure that the businesses who are putting their necks out and wanting to start something here have a chance to really succeed. And so, I'm hopeful that this new year will be much more lucrative for everybody. I know that there were obstacles and challenges, and I look forward to us partnering and really being thoughtful about how we can work smarter, not harder, because we're all working on budgets and schedules and all that kind of good stuff. So I really urge this new board coming on to really think about thinking outside of the box. What has worked in the past has only worked to some level. I'd like to see some expansion on that, and I'm happy to continue to meet with the chamber and talk about how we can increase those partnerships. But I urge you to extend your hand across the aisle and to other folks in the community to see how we can drive those numbers. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lau. To say it was a rough year is probably being too nice, but you guys stuck it out. And Marlene, thank you very much for stepping up. We got a number of things we need to work on. First of all, you guys are the first people that you see these new businesses come in. As Councilmember Lau stated, our small businesses are the backbone of this community, and we need to have our ribbon cuttings back. We need to get ourselves organized, which you guys are doing now with new leadership. And I appreciate Josh. I think you're going to do a great job. Juan, all of you guys are going to do a great job. It's always been fun. It's always been a great atmosphere. We need to work with other chambers. I think it's very important. That chamber affiliation with other chambers is so important. As you know, and sitting up here in the dais, I hear things throughout the San Gabriel Valley from different chambers. All I want to hear is, you got a great chamber. They work well with us. We're out here for the same deal, is to make our businesses successful in our cities, and that's important. That's important. And I think you guys are going to get there real quick. I also, our combined forces, we need to really sit down and figure out how we can combine our forces with the Downtown Business Improvement District. It's very important for the lifeblood. I know Director Scheer we've been discussing that. I know he's been discussing it with the DIBID. We need to get those forces together, because we could have an executive director for both of those, would just be so beneficial to our community. But obviously, there's things that aren't working right now with that, but we need to work on that. That's the most important thing. To combine forces with an executive director that can just look ahead and work with the other chambers, work with functions throughout our city, engage the residents, tell them about the new businesses. We have our ribbon cutting. We have all that stuff that's important, but like Councilmember Lau, new stuff now. We really need the tax base. I'll be honest with you. We are a small town. We're a very locked-in town. We don't have car dealerships. We don't have Costco's. We're getting a Trader Joe's, though, which is great. That's great. But at the end of the day, we need these small businesses, that little niche markets, the restaurants, the clothing stores, the stuff that you can't buy other places. That's, the nail salons, the special niche places that we've been doing for years. It's so important to us. But I'm really glad to see new leadership. I think it's going to be a good year. We've given you lots of great stuff to do. We've involved the veterans. You've involved outreach to our university. I mean, I'm looking very forward to that. But it's been a rough year, I will say. It's been a very rough year, and I know you guys have been chugging along, and it's been tough. And Marley, I say thank you. You stepped into a very difficult situation, and it's going to be good. I'm very, very, very happy about what's going to happen here, and we want to help you. With Ken and us, as Wendy said, we're here to help. I'm a small business owner. I get it. I know what it's all about. It's not the easiest thing in the world. We see businesses open, and 6 months later, they're gone. We want to get stuff here in Laverne that stays, that people will come. Bring those Phil's Coffee. Bring these other places the other communities are having now. Let's bring these places. Dutch Brothers. Bring our Chick-fil-A's. Let's go. Come on, bring them into our community. Bring the little restaurants. There's room for us. But we need a really strong chamber. We do need the combination of the chamber and the DIBID to work together. It has to happen. That's just how it works with our city. We need to combine forces. So whatever we can do, and I know Ken's been working on it, whatever Director Scheer, I know he's been working on it. It's not the easiest road, but we need to combine those forces. Once you guys get set up, I think it's time for the conversation again. So you can have an executive director that just blasts it out of the world here. New stuff, nuance, advertisements, all the things we need to do to push our community. Because people come here. They like it here. People come from all over to go to our restaurants. They come to visit. They come to shop. They'll be coming to Trader Joe's. I'm telling you, know, it's great. This is great, but we need a strong chamber. You guys are the backbone of our community, and we appreciate what you do, and we're looking forward to a new beginning, I guess I should say. We need to work on that combination between the dividends. It's very important. Very important. Any other comments? Mr. Crosby.
I just want to, I know you said it a couple times. I just want to show my appreciation to Marlene. I'm glad you failed at retirement. And I know you want to be successful at that. And I know you want to get to your retirement, but appreciate you coming and really helping the chamber in its need. So just want to make sure that's stated. I know we have our businesses and we have the backbone of the board, and really appreciate the board and really want to make this successful. I'm very encouraged by flying the position and the outlook of really trying to find someone to build that job. Laverne needs it. It's tough for all businesses right now, especially brick and mortar businesses. It's really tough to get them in, but I think we have a community that we can sell businesses to. We have a base that is with their financial backings and where the income is in Laverne. I think we are a highlight in the San Gabriel Valley here, and I believe we just got to really show up. So thank you, board, for keeping us up. I know it's been a tough year. Marlene, thank you for all you've done, and success at your retirement. More success.
Do we have any In-N-Out coupons? We should probably give her an In-N-Out coupons and a certificate.
Thank you.
I'm going to go. You come on up. It's okay. Please.
Yeah. They're waiting for me, right? Yeah. No, I just want to, well, thank you for your nice comments. But most of you that do know me know I was in the Chamber of Commerce industry for 35 years. But I will say that the healthiest communities that you see have a strong Chamber of Commerce, and they have a strong partnership between the city and the Chamber. So certainly we do appreciate the partnership. 30% of the people that responded to the survey that I conducted earlier in the year, they need help. And they said, we need help with branding, with marketing. We need the chamber to promote our businesses. So that's across the board, all over, everywhere. But a lot of small businesses, but that's why you have a chamber. So it's important that a Chamber of Commerce does survive, and we do have the leadership. This board is very dedicated. They will want to make it. I wish I could have done more, but this group will take you to the next level, I think. So
thank you, Marlene.
Anyway.
Thank you. Under your direction. Thank you. Appreciate that. And one last comment. It's really important that you are the eyes and ears. You can bring businesses to us as we work under the direction of Director Scheer, our city manager, all of us. We're all people that can go out and say, you need to come here. You know, Trader Joe's just didn't happen. We have the demographics here. There's a reason why we have a Trader Joe's coming. That's the reason why we have some of the other stores. But that's the partnership, and I do agree that we can move mountains and get businesses here because people will come and spend their money there. You know, so we're here to help. So I look forward to that. With that, do I have a motion? Second? Vote, please.
Sure. Moved by Castro-Figuita, seconded by Lau, and approved 5-0.
Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you tomorrow night at the installation dinner.
Yes.
You guys don't have to stay for the meeting. Go. Marlene's got to go to the beach. Okay, we have got. Where are we at now? Chamber of Commerce. City Manager Domer, please call for the staff member who will be reporting on the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. That would be Christy.
I'm going to call forward the Finance Director, Christy Lopez. And she got the floral Hawaiian memo also.
Hey.
Right. Yes. Good evening. Before we go into the proposed operating budget, we're going to have Danny come up from the Public Works Director. Danny come up and present the capital improvement program. At our last study session, that was the last part of our presentation, and we didn't quite get to that. So we're going to have him present that, and then he'll shift it and give it back to me.
Thank you, Director Lopez. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you again for this opportunity to present the city's capital improvement budget request for fiscal year 25-26. I'd like to first thank my fellow department heads for all their help in pulling together this year's capital improvement program, which again encompasses projects that are beyond just the Public Works Department, so it's CIP projects across multiple departments. By way of some background, the Capital Improvement Program is a multi-year planning tool used to identify and forecast the city's capital projects and infrastructure needs over a 5-year planning horizon. A capital project is generally defined as a major non-recurring expenditure for the acquisition, construction, improvement, or replacement of public infrastructure, facilities, or major equipment with a useful life of at least 5 years. The fiscal year 25-26 CIP budget request represents the first year of a 5-year rolling plan, and staff updates the CIP annually and submits the year one for budget appropriation requests as part of the city's annual budget process. Project types include city buildings and facilities, parks and landscaping, streets and mobility projects, storm drain projects, and water and sewer system. The projects are categorized as either rehabilitation and replacement projects or new construction and expansion type projects. And given the fiscal constraints that the city has this year, this year's request is a bit smaller and fewer, so staff can take the opportunity to reassess our capital needs over this next fiscal year. This slide highlights the variety of fund sources, most of which are restricted funds that are typically used to pay for CIP projects, such as gas tax dollars, transportation and sales tax revenue, water and sewer capital funds, park development funds, and grant funds. And while general fund dollars can be used to pay for any project, tapping into those fund sources is generally a last resort, and if they are ineligible to be funded by grants or restricted funds. So here's a summary of this year's requests. We have a total of 18 proposed CIP projects, totaling approximately $4.7 million, 5 of which are carryover project requests requiring additional budget appropriations, and 13 new project requests. Of the 18, 12 are rehab replacement type projects, and 6 are new construction and expansion projects. This slide shows the CIP requests by project type, category, dollar amounts, and fund source. And as you can see, the majority of our spending requests for fiscal year 25-26 are going towards street and mobility type improvements and rehab type projects. This slide identifies the 5 carryover project requests requiring additional appropriations totaling $540,000, and they include the installation of new basketball court lights at Lowell Brandt Park, striping and signage improvements along Bonita, Baseline, Fruit Street, and other arterials, White Avenue pavement rehab, storm drain trash capture installations, and sewer line rehab to replace 2 pumping stations at the Franklin pump station. This table identifies the new CIP project requests. They total 13 new project requests totaling approximately $4.1 million, and they're listed by project type, category, dollar amounts, and fund source. The new CIP requests fall under either city facilities or street and mobility type projects. And a couple of notable projects include the replacement of the HVAC and chiller equipment at the Public Safety Building and installation of new backup batteries at traffic signals along Baseline Road, which, by the way, staff is currently working towards preparing bid documents and specs to get that going. And this is just an overall summary again of this 25-26 appropriation request totaling $4.7 million. Again, the majority are for street and mobility projects and rehab and replacement type projects. And lastly, the slide shows how the total $4.7 million in CIP appropriation requests are proposed to be funded, with the majority to be paid for with restricted funds, except for the public safety HVAC project and the facilities conditions assessment, which are both proposed to be funded with general fund dollars. And with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Domer, I know I sent you, I know Foothill Transit had a grant program, and I know part of the two of the things is to fix bus stops areas, and I know did we look into that grant area so that we can money so that Prop C money can go other places as well?
Yes, we are looking at that, but we won't realize it until we are successful.
Just to make sure that we apply to it.
Any other questions for Public Works Director? We're going to go ahead and open up public comment. Any public comment on this item? No public comment.
We'll continue.
Never mind. We're going to continue on until Christy does her report. Thank you. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be dancing.
So good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I'm here to present and recommend approval of the proposed budget for fiscal year 2025-26. This document reflects months of collaboration across departments and builds upon the direction provided by council during the second budget study session on June 2nd. Following that meeting, the draft budget was posted to the city's website on June 3rd to allow the community time to review the materials prior to tonight's meeting. To further promote public engagement, our communications team shared a series of social media posts that provided department-level budget snapshots highlighting services and associated funding. In addition, a video message from the city manager was posted to help explain the proposed budget and encourage public participation, including giving them tonight's date so that they could attend. These outreach efforts, compounded with 2 public study sessions, reflect our shared commitment to operational transparency and community involvement as we continue to prioritize long-term sustainability and address critical infrastructure and service needs. Along with the direction to enhance community access and transparency, Council also asked staff to explore further reductions and to reallocate resources where possible, while avoiding the use of reserves. The proposed budget before you tonight reflects that guidance. The changes made represent deliberate effort to strike a balance between fiscal discipline and service delivery with only a minimal use of reserves, which I will explain later. This proposed budget is operationally balanced. However, we remain focused on the long-term goal of achieving a structurally balanced budget. Citywide, staff are reviewing programs and expenditures to identify necessary adjustments. The budget is a living document, and assumptions can change. While we are forecasting with the best information available, the coming fiscal year, consistent with our strategic plan, will focus heavily on service review. Each department must evaluate what is core versus what is nice to have, so we can ensure that our limited resources support services most vital to our residents. Approving the budget as presented gives us time to carry out this evaluation, including cost analysis and community usage data. Since the last study session, Council has met with staff to review outstanding questions and request additional information, much of which is incorporated in the slides to follow. So these are the items that last meeting we got Council's direction to provide. So the first is the citywide authorized positions. This slide was one of those requested informational items and illustrates changes in authorized staffing levels since fiscal year 2019-2020. Notable increases include 17 new positions in fire, 7 in police, and 2 each in finance and parks and recreation. This slide represents the totals with all funding sources, so this does include water and sewer funded positions as well. From fiscal year 2019-20 to the current proposed budget, the salary costs have increased by 46%, or a total of $12.8 million across all funds, including water and sewer. In comparison, the general fund reserves have increased by 41%, falling short of expenditures by 5%. These additions reflect Council's prior direction and the operational needs of a growing and more complex city, including the addition of the ambulance program, which accounts for 12 of the 17 new positions in fire. The next one was the general fund reserves. This historical snapshot of general fund reserves shows our position as of year end and projections through 2025-26. It's important to note the inclusion of market value adjustments such as the $684,000 increase in fiscal year 23-24 from investment market gains. So I'm trying to highlight the two with asterisks to identify what were the additional items that happened that year that may be abnormal or one-time items. The other notable year was 2022, when the city was holding funds from the property sale at Amherst, and they were held over that fiscal year to fund the Pension Stabilization Fund. They were funded in August and moved over to that pension fund, but at that time we had them in our reserves, which is the 2022 year, which it went to 39%, or almost 40%. The Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA, recommends a minimum general fund reserve equal to 2 months of operating expenditures, or about 17%. But many California cities have moved beyond this due to volatile revenue sources and increasing financial risks. GFOA's recent article, Rethinking General Fund Reserves, encourages agencies to adopt more tailored policies based on local risk factors rather than relying solely on the minimum standard. Over the next year, the finance team, along with the city manager, will be reviewing the city's reserve policy, which has not been updated since its creation in 2018, and will be rethinking the city's reserve levels based on the risks that could be presented in Laverne, which is a full-service city and has different level of risk than a contract city. These next 2 slides outline the changes made after the June 2nd meeting, and they are reflected in the preliminary budget that was posted on June 10th, along with the agenda. They include items that were either shifted to other funds or reduced entirely. Items shown in bold indicate a financial impact to another fund, and brief explanations are provided for historical context and funding impacts. I will go through each line briefly, but please stop me if you'd like more detail, either from me or the appropriate department director. So in administration, there's $50,000 of MDCs, which are mobile computers. I don't know what the D stands for. Those are the computers that go in the police vehicles, and we have identified that we have some savings in this fiscal year, and so we're going to shift those to the current fiscal year. There is an identified $4,000 training reduction that they have identified. The city clerk isn't going to go to a training, and so they have some savings there. In the finance department, we have $4,000 that we are going to shift over to the finance committee and have the finance committee review the Measure LV activity for that year. The $9,800 for audit and property tax consulting is being shifted to the successor agency, which previously we have $15,000 that we can fund administrative costs out of there. And we had not fully pulled those funds in the past, and so we're just kind of making up for the past.
I thank you for telling me what a successor agency is, but can you let the public know what a successor agency, what that is as well? Because that was confusing last time.
Yes. So the successor agency came about after the redevelopment agency was dissolved. And the redevelopment agency is, or the successor agency now, is an area really in the Old Town area that is, in order to enhance development, they identified a base tax rate. Anything above that base tax rate then goes into this successor agency. We are, I believe, 2 years out of almost having this completely done, and we will fully recognize our ROPS, or recognized obligated payment schedule. I believe this is correct. And then we will no longer have that. And what happens when that is done is that instead of those funds from property taxes going into the successor agency, they'll just come back to the general fund. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a ladder. And so right now we get the larger portion of that. Once we are done, it goes back into the pool. So we will get a smaller amount of it, but it will go directly into the general fund. You're welcome. For community development, $17,000 of the housing trust was shifted to the Affordable Housing Fund. We have not used that in the past. We have just funded it out of general fund, and that fund has very little activity, and it is an appropriate source for us to use that fund. The $5,000 for the chamber agreement, Eric mentioned that earlier. That is a reduction. The fire department, a $100,000 increase from the transfer from funds CFD 90-1. 90-1 was established to provide fire, streets, and sewer services. And in the past, there was a discussion with previous directors of the department to identify a portion that went into just a reserve amount just for streets, sewers, and fire. And then those departments can identify how they want to spend those funds. Based on the calculations that we have for CFD, really the full amount could be utilized by the general fund for the services that are being provided. However, we pull that out so that the departments can have that extra funds. And so the fire department has identified that we will be using some of those funds that he had set aside. Previously, they were used for equipment needs, so it could impact future equipment needs. But at this point, we've identified that it is an eligible funding source. The $80,000 equipment cost shifted to the fire equipment fund, again, has historically been used for department equipment. And so we will still be using it for department equipment. It's just that previously we had funded these items. I believe it was hoses and something else was shifted over. I don't remember exactly what it was, over to the fire equipment fund. The $75,000 recognized for the fire department training revenues, those are going to specifically cover the overtime costs related to any fire employee who is on training. So we're tracking that separately so we can identify when they're working overtime to go on that training, it will just come out of this fund. So we'll have that $75,000. And that was the amount that the department identified as their estimate for this year. If that changes, then we will adjust that, and that would mean overtime would go down, hopefully, as well. The next one, the police department, $100,000 of overtime hours shifted to asset forfeiture. Asset forfeiture has restricted uses that can only be used for overtime and law enforcement equipment. And utilizing this is a normal practice. However, this is an increase in what we normally utilize for overtime. And so it could impact further or future needs for equipment. The $146,000 for lieutenant promotion, That is going to be delayed by 6 months. They will still be moving forward with the hiring, but that could create delays with succession planning in the police department. Parks and Recreation, there was a $6,600 reduction from the revised water analysis. The water was initially anticipated to increase in October, and with the new changes, it will now not be increased until January, and so we made those adjustments. Same thing with the Public Works $220,000 line. That was also water. The $360,000 reduction in vehicle replacement costs. Our fleet, well, actually, he's our Deputy Public Works Director now, did a 10-year analysis and identified that he would be able to extend some service life of some vehicles and would still not have any impacts to the fund if we reduce the amount of funds that the general fund contributed to the vehicle replacement. And then the $600,000 shift of street maintenance and traffic signal expenditures to Measure RM and gas tax, that was broken up. And that could impact future rehab or repair pavement management construction costs, but those are all eligible uses. We have historically not used these funds to keep them available for construction costs, but I have been told by the Public Works Director that there would be no impact based on the report, the latest PCI report. I could be wrong. The latest report for our pavement management PMI report. That was a lot. So this slide shows the evolution of the general fund deficit during the budget development process. We began with an initial projected shortfall of $3.6 million. Through targeted reductions, cost deferrals or shifts, as you just saw, and revenue enhancements, we've closed the gap to just over or almost $1.1 million, $1,077,862. This slide begins with the identified deficit of $1,077,862 and reviews our recommendations for one-time resource uses to balance the budget. Interest surplus utilization is the main source of one-time resources. The chart at the bottom of the slide identifies what the assumed rate of returns would be based on our actuarials. The assumptions for investment interest were between 5 and 5.75%, depending on the account, and both accounts have exceeded those returns for the fiscal year 2024, and we are recommending the use of the interest surplus to balance the budget. Just a quick note is, although we haven't finished this fiscal year, currently the returns through May of 2024 have also far exceeded what we anticipated for the 5 and the 5.75. The city manager is also recommending the use of up to $71,250 in reserves to cover the cost of backfill coverage for the firefighter who is serving in the military. So now that we have gone through how we got here, I would like to go over the totals for the budget, including the balancing options. Here you see the proposed general fund summary. Revenues, which are on the left, and other financing sources total $49.9 million, broken down by revenue sources. The largest share is in taxes, which is 56% of the revenues. The one-time resources are included in the other financing sources, which also includes transfers and makes up 22%. Expenditures, which are on the right, at $49.9 million, is broken down by department, with public safety at 32%, with police at 32% and fire at 31%, for a total of 63% for public safety of the general fund budget. Following public safety, the next highest department is public works, which includes items such as building, street, and park maintenance, along with all city utilities, including traffic signals and street lights, and they are at 19%. This is the proposed citywide budget. So while much of our focus is on the general fund, the city's total budget includes many other funds. The citywide budget totals $96.2 million in revenues, which is on the left-hand side, and $99.2 million in expenditures, which is on the right. This includes enterprise funds like water and sewer, internal service funds such as equipment replacement, and restricted use funds like gas tax and proposition allocations. Capital improvement and equipment replacement projects are included in the totals. I do want to point out that those don't balance. So some funds show expenditures exceeding revenues due to the planned use of reserves for one-time projects, while others show revenues exceeding appropriations as funds are accumulated for future obligations. And so that's very normal, especially in special revenues. The full budget document provides a breakdown by fund, including detailed schedules in the back section for review. So, as a wrap-up, we understand the use of one-time resources is not ideal, and we will be reviewing all services in this upcoming year, and we'll be looking for revenue opportunities to maintain core services and work towards a structural budget. Staff recommends that City Council approve the proposed 25-26 operating budget, including all departmental allocations and adjustments presented tonight. Should Council direct any changes this evening, we will incorporate them before finalizing the budget for implementation on July 1. That concludes my presentation. I want to thank you all for everything, your engagement throughout this process, and I'm available to answer any questions or provide clarifications.
Thank you, Director Lopez. I think we'll go to public comment first. Thank you very much. Ms. Beltran.
Once again, thank you for allowing me to be here and make my comments. As I sit here, I feel honored to do so. When I started working for CRC Prison, that was in 1988, my first assignment was to work in the budgeting area. I worked in the accounting department. My then supervisor, I guess, wanted to play a trick with me, or I don't know, maybe he did it with every new staffy. Asked me if I would be interested in balancing our $5 million balance in 30 days. Since I did take accounting at Bonita High School as one of my electives, I welcomed the challenge. And I have to say, thanks to God, the training that I got at Bonita High School actually kicked in. I had 30 days. However, I believe I completed it within less than a week, 3 days, in fact, and I was off by 2 pennies. Now, that bugged me. I didn't want to go home until I found them 2 pennies, okay? I found it in the inmate cash drawer. I was off by 2 pennies by the inmate cash drawer. The supervisor asked me what I actually wanted to do while I worked there. I said, well, the sky's the limit. This is just a pit stop right about now. I don't like sitting and being at a desk. So, but I was grateful to have 2 other sisters giving their 150% into their jobs. So they knew they wanted to train me in additional fields. So I'm quite fortunate that they actually put about $1 million into my extended education while I worked there for 16 years, which is why I love to give whatever little comments I can to help with this city, because I love this city. I was born and raised here. My father was. And we want to stay here because it's a gorgeous city. So thank you for letting me comment on all these different problems that we're facing as a community. And I see that we have a really good, like you said, we got a lot of new Josh and Eric. We have new members that will definitely give us a new idea, insight, and I believe we'll resolve it in a timely manner. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else for public comment? Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Mayor, Council, the one thing observation from this presentation is the most used word is shifted. That's interesting. Today I reviewed 208 pages of the budget. I don't know when it was posted, but I had a chance to look through it. I have a few questions. I have a statement, but I have a few questions. I can only hope that every council person has reviewed every detail, every page, because there is shifting and moving, and it just appears that seems to be the main theme. If you have looked at it, you should have as many questions as I do. I'm not going to go over the many items because it's already 8:45. One question I do have for the city manager is that the organizational chart shows the citizens at the top, council report to the citizens, but for the first time that I can remember, the police department shows that it reports to the city manager versus the council, which it has always shown before. I don't know if when that was changed or if that was something that was voted on or just decided that but it's always been that the police report to the council, not the city manager. As far as the budget, there remain a lot of questions on how we can continue to afford to maintain our full-service great city. You're going to pass this budget tonight, obviously, based on the fact that it's here. But I sat through the 4 hours a couple of weeks ago, and it just seemed like there were so many questions. And in fact, I believe Councilperson Crosby may have used the word chaos or something close to that. It just is, again, interesting to see that in 2 weeks, boom, we've got a budget. And there was emergency meetings planned, and there was people out of town, and it just seems like pushing this through is unique. I invite the city, close to what the lady before me just said, I invite the city to form a citizens ad hoc committee based on, made up of business people, to review the budget line by line, to ask pointed questions and get answers. That could be something for next year. The unfunded pensions and benefits are clearly unsustainable. Yet the same employees that negotiate with other employee groups at many times benefit from those very negotiations. That doesn't make sense. In any business, that would not be allowed, as it appears to be a huge conflict of interest and should not continue. Although the response we always get is, we've always done it that way. Doesn't necessarily make it right. An ad hoc committee can be formed now and use the next year to assist the city in coming up with a true fiscal responsible suggestions. As the city manager has indicated, we will potentially run out of any excess funds in 2 years. Let the residents help save our city from potential financial chaos. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Anybody else wish to speak on? Oh, Jamie, please.
Mayor Hepburn, Council. I just wanted to get clarification on the CIP allocation for sewer, which showed $150,000. In our ad hoc committee meetings, when we're talking about potential rate increases for water and sewer, that amount is significantly higher. So I'm just wondering if that 150 is meant to only reflect general fund dollars, and if we've looked at if we should be including it in the rate hike that we're looking at. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Any other public comment? We're going to close public comment, bring it back up the dais. I know we had a few questions, Mr. Domer.
Yes. What would you like to?
I think the first one was the police chief.
Yeah. I was just looking at the budget books and the organizational charts. It's kind of been the same for years. And, basically the city council appoints, but then it's delegated to the city manager for the evaluations and everything else. And so, yes, the city police chief does report to the city manager, as does fire chief and all the other department directors. The only people that report directly to the city council is the attorney and the city manager. So, so
Full service city.
yeah, and the
budget,
$150,000 for
the $150,000 for the general fund. CIP.
Where's
Christie's right there.
Oh, on
He's
the
right
CIP.
there.
So,
Yes, I can see what.
Yeah.
It might, I'm assuming it's just the current fiscal year, that the $150,000. You can,
I believe the $150,000 was previously budgeted. So for the sewer project, there was an additional request for $100,000.
yeah, we'll still go back to it and look at it. Again, there were some rollover projects that were not completed in last year. They needed additional funding. And
But
so
it had nothing to do with the sewer, the rate study
No.
that we're talking about.
No,
that was
correct.
Jamie's question. Did it have to do anything? Why was it budgeted if it was? So it does not have anything to do anything with the sewer and water rate study.
Correct.
I think there was a question, and maybe you can further explain, or Christy can explain the shifting of the funds.
Correct.
I know
Yeah.
you put that in the slides, but for clarity for the folks.
Why the shifts were? They weren't
Yeah,
really
one of the
shifts. They were
things-
just new accounts. The accounts were being used properly.
Shifting or realignment of funding sources. So LA County has a lot of funding sources that are, through measures or propositions. So there's Proposition A, which is the parks. There's Measure A. There's Measure C, or maybe it's Prop A, Prop C.
Prop A, Prop
Prop
C.
A, Prop C. Measure A is
Measure
parks.
A.
There's Measure W for water. There's Measure R for roads. There's Measure M for more transportation issues. And now there's a lot of different things. But so when I got here and looked at some things, so we used to sell the Prop A funds for general funds, and we'd sell them at 3/4 on the dollar. I do remember that when I got here, there was concern about we had a large amount of CDBG funds, and we didn't know the best way to use them and all that stuff. So what we have been working with staff is going over the guidelines of all these special funds to make sure that we are using them to the fullest ability. So, for example, on transportation funds, we were using them all for streets and contracts and all that stuff. But the eligibility of those uses are you can use them for those street employees who are actually working in the streets. So if we have staff that are filling potholes or concrete work, and we have some great work going on that, we can use those funding sources for that work instead of a general fund. So we are looking at all those different funding sources to, again, free up general fund, make sure that we're within the eligibility criteria of the special revenue fund, but also making sure that we were not undermining. And you heard the pavement condition index, a pavement management program, making sure that we maintain our infrastructure and we're not undermining ourselves by doing some of these shifting of funds for eligible. So that's pretty much.
Yeah, and it is really best practice to use the most restricted funds first. We have not historically done that. We have saved them up and used them, for larger projects, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way that the practice was done. But typically, you do want to utilize your most restricted funds first. We do also have restrictions on time. So some of those Prop A and C, we do have to use those. I believe it's within 4 years of receiving them. So a lot of times, if we weren't using them, that might be why we sold them, just to make sure we didn't lose them. But again, it is best practice for us to utilize those restricted funds first.
Yeah. And the timeliness is a good point too, because like on the community development block grants, CDBG, those do have a timeline. And we actually did receive a letter saying you had to spend, if you guys remember from probably about a year and a half ago, Cody was doing a lot of dancing up here because we were really struggling to get some of the curb ramp and sidewalk, so the curb cuts, ADA accessibility projects put into place so we wouldn't lose those projects. Same thing with the SB 2766 subvention funds. Those are funds that are from Air Quality Management District, but there's a lot of different uses because what you're trying to do is reduce impacts to air quality. That could cover like our website or software that allows a resident to stay in their house and to do online permitting so they're not getting into their car, on the engine, and polluting the air through big trucks. Teslas, they can just bring back on, but so yeah, little things like that. So there's a lot of different specialties that we're really looking at now, and I want to applaud staff for kind of really digging into these things, and that's also one reason why I wanted to make sure that training and development budget were, they were touched but not decimated, because it is critical that our staff is, fully up to date on rules and regulations changing monthly.
Well, I think the word shifting might be used improperly. It's more reallocation of funds in the proper areas they're supposed to be going in and how they're supposed to be allocated to be used, which for many, many years, as we know, it wasn't working correctly. And this is what's taken so long for this budget, too, is the reallocation of the funds and the proper funds actually to bring our balance down, our deficit. Sustainability is a problem. I mean, there's no question about it. How long are we going to be able to do this for? And we can't dip it into our reserves. That we shouldn't be doing that at all. The unfunded liability is absolutely a problem, but we can't control CalPERS, unfortunately. We don't have any control over that. When they continually lose billions of dollars, it's just absolutely, no matter how much we have in our 215 trust, it makes no difference.
Before my questions or comments, can Mr. Domer or Christy talk about that piece that you just said one more time for our public, the UAL
unfunded liability and pension.
When we were notified, or how much last 3 years and how much it went up, and are there any forecasts for the future?
Yeah,
just to give us a brief overview to explain how bad it really is.
Yeah. Well, if you have 2 hours, happy to go through.
No.
Yeah.
Just a real overview on our unfunded liability, which is our pension obligation to CalPERS, and how screwed up it actually is.
No, I will go over it quickly, but it is a very complicated but in-depth item. But yeah, unfunded actuarial liability is the amount that is due for the defined benefit plan. It's the pension plan. And what really skyrocketed that was changes from the state legislature and the governor back in the early 2000s that allowed the retroactivity of pension enhancements. And so it wasn't going forward. It was those members who maybe they were at 28 years, they got an enhanced pension benefit from those previous 28 years, even if they were only going to be here for 2 more years. So the city did a good thing back in 2018 when they did the pension obligation bond. At that time, unfunded actuarial liability was a little over $52 million. And yeah, $52,000 would have been great. There was a pension obligation bond, which basically at that point you're taking advantage of interest rates. Interest rates were low. The assumed rate of return for CalPERS is 6.8% right now. It was 7% then. So if you get a bond for 3.5%, 4%, you're doing good. So it wiped out the unfunded actuarial liability. The problem is that the next day that unfunded actuarial liability grows back. Why does it grow back? It's not necessarily decisions made up here with merit increases or COLAs or that, but when you look at the CalPERS actuarial online, they're all online, you will notice that the active employees are supporting probably, 3 times as many retirees. And when those retirees or separated employees have gone to another city, get a COLA, that increases our unfunded actuarial liability. The other thing is that if CalPERS has a bad year, and they've had some bad years, then we have an extremely bad year. And so you've had that where CalPERS has not made their 6.8. Even when they make a 5.8, our UAL increases. So we saw 2 years ago, the last fiscal year, it was $11,000. This fiscal year, it was $760,000.
Our unfunded liability.
The unfunded
our
actual
pension
liability.
obligation.
And going forward, it's going to be 1.752, so almost an increase of $1 million. The year after that, based on the CalPERS actuarial, we're looking at 2.3 or $2.4 million. So we're hoping that as June 30th, which is mark to market for the CalPERS investments, that they're well over their 6.8. Will it slow it? It'll slow it. Will it bring it down? May not bring it down. But those are costs. So next year, we are looking at $1.75 million that really kind of out of our control, and we don't have that revenue coming in. So that's really taking the chunk of fund revenue. And it is a problem. And you do mention that we can't continue to do this. We have to, over this next year, really look at everything from our personnel count, how we're doing business, efficiencies, additional revenue opportunities, but we can't continue to do business as we have in the past. And I'd like to say we're actually better off than most cities. Every city is facing this pressure, looking at worse.
I've been to a number of functions with cities, and they say, "Oh my gosh, they gave raises, egregious raises out, and across the board." And the comment was to me is like, "We're going to have to take everything back." And this is different cities, and we're talking cities of various sizes. And it's like you look at them and you go, fiscal responsibility. We do a pretty darn good job, but at the end of the day, it's some of these things that we have no control over. Our unfunded liability is, when I first got on council in 2015, that was the first thing you read in the papers, that the unfunded liability is going to break cities' backs, and it's going to happen this time because they lost so much money again, and they're on a shoestring. They gave all these great raises to their employees, which, hey, that's great, but you can only give what you can afford and not dip into your reserves all the time. So it's tough. Anyway, council comments? I think, Ben, Mr. Crosby.
Thank you. And thank you for answering those questions. First of all, I really do appreciate the staff. I came up last meeting and got on a soapbox pretty hard, but you heard me loud and clear, and the information given to the us and to the public well in advance to go through this. And I think, Mr. Domer, I think I spoke to you every day except yesterday. I left you alone on Father's Day, but appreciate every day answering calls, answering things. I wanted to bring up that UAL piece because we are in a structured deficit, which meaning we've had to take from Prop 115, proposed is to take Prop 115 and OPEB of $1 million. That is to fund really the UAL for next year, which is at 1.7. And then the following year, raising 2.3, that means we'll have to find another 2.3. But we have used now our what benefit of this one-time money, because this is really one-time money for feeding ongoing costs. And you can't feed things that need to be fed every day with one-time money. So if this does pass, and I don't believe there's a way that we can't, it's not, the structural deficit's not fixable in the next week and a half. So I don't see a way where I cannot pass it, but we need to come back minimally quarterly what we are going to do to fix this. And since the city has, it's based on primarily people and what our costs go out, we need to look at that very closely. We need to look at every position, and is this a position that is a must-have? Is it a need? Is it a want? I asked for last time was the positions we've added over the last 5 years, because before it was given to us pretty much. We haven't raised much in the last 3 years, but for the last 5 years, we've grown dramatically. We had struggles with our fire department. We had a brownout at Station 3, and we really needed to fix it. I really appreciate Chief Nig coming in, but I went back and reviewed those study sessions from 2021, particularly November 8th, if anybody needs to go back and see those things too, where it was given of how much we would raise in our ambulance operators. Our ambulance operators system right now is achieving greatly, but I want to make sure, go back, are we getting back what, and bring it back to us at a quarterly event, are we getting back what was said to us when we agreed to? Because we all agreed to at that time, and there were 2 council members that weren't on the council at that time, but even reviewing those comments based on the council members that were present is great because of promised money back. But are we getting our return in service as well? Our service is tremendous, and our fire department is doing well, but we got to make sure what is being said is giving. I know we approved just a week or 2 ago some more staff as well, which is in the budget here too, and there were promises made as how much would we receive back from adding that staff because of decreasing overtime. We just need to make sure that we're always keeping that in our forefront. Are we achieving that or are we not? And if we're not, then we have to make that decision. Are we keeping moving forward and being transparent, paying for what we have, and making sure that's what we're moving forward with too? And so really looking at all staff, what we're adding. I have a concern with we're trying to negotiate with staff right now, and I want people to hear us loud and clear that we need to really look at our budget and what's going forward. And I know we have given advice to our unions and already presented in negotiations, and it could be bad faith bargaining, but if we stop and backtrack and say this is our new outlook because of what our budget is right now, we would win an unfair labor practice by going backwards on negotiations because of our new outcome with our structural deficit. So I think we really need to look at what our negotiations and doing that for our unions. So I want to give to our people, but our budget, we need to make sure that we're sustainable in the next couple of years too. So bringing this stuff back to us right away is really the work. The work of the next year's budget needs to start tomorrow after today's vote. She can have tonight and back tomorrow. We need to really look at our overtime, and really taking a hard look at what we're using for overtime, because that is another piece of our budget that erodes our budget. But really, the UAL, which is out of our hands, we need to make sure that we have those funds. But using one-time money is not going to pay for it every year. We'll be bankrupt within the next 5 years if that is the case. So I appreciate the staff and the hard work they've been doing. The department heads have really, the last 2 weeks, have answered so many questions and really gone through. Going to restricted funds and using those restricted funds and to where they're appropriate use for, that is an appropriate use of our money. But again, a structural deficit for operational costs is not sustainable.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Mr. Johnson.
I do appreciate each and every department for what you've done to try to mitigate our budget situation. there are hard times ahead of us, and I need everybody to realize that. Christy, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for us. This is just not a fun place to be sitting right now, as far as making these decisions where we don't really have good options. Somebody can show me where the money tree is.
In the lottery? There was no lottery in the city.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging time for all of us.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Lau.
So I just want to start by reiterating thanks to the staff and to Christy especially for taking the time to answer questions. I know you've been fielding calls. I've come into to City Hall to talk to you, to talk to Ken. I know you both have been probably busy, dealing with all of us. But I also want to thank the department heads for going back and really looking at, where are efficiencies, where are cost savings, what can we do? But I agree with Councilmember Crosby that, this is not sustainable. And so I think, what I said in the last, 2 study sessions that we had on the budget is that it's not just about what we're cutting and what we're trying to look at. It's really also looking at where can we be better about efficiencies in general, but also looking at revenue sources. Because unfortunately, you've seen in the reports and you've seen in the study sessions that we are unique. We don't have the benefit of having big box stores. We don't have the benefit of big car dealerships that driving revenue into the city. So I think, that's going to be a really big part of it. And I appreciate, the staff coming together. And I'd like to see us continue to do that. I know that in talking to both the city manager and with Christy, I raised the fact that we need quarterly accountability. Budgeting can't just be this one-time thing that we talk about, once a cycle where we start scrambling and thinking about it. We need to be thinking about it all year long, every time. Do we really need this? How can we make this happen? What are the possible solutions? How can we think outside of the box? And I really, I think I've seen incredibly marked improvement in how the departments are working together. And I'd love to see that to the point being made about, these negotiations that we're having for salaries and everything else. It's, we really need to think it's not every person for themselves. It's how do we maintain the level of service that we want to be able to maintain while also making sure that our employees are getting a good wage and are happy with where they're working. And it's a lot of moving parts. And so, like Councilmember Johnson said, this is not a great place for us to be because it is going to take a lot of work and it is going to take a lot of thinking on all of our parts to get to a good place. And so, I don't want to see this city in dire straits. That's, nobody wants that. And so we really need to come together and figure out how we're going to do this. And, I urge, our partnerships with the chamber, with, the different groups across the city and outside of the city, where can we find ways to work smarter, not harder? And where can we find, savings and everything else? So I think those conversations need to be top of mind. And if we can come back, quarterly to say, here's where we are. And for everybody, as you're coming up to give reports and you're coming up to present on things that are changing or things that we want to do, what is the benefit? What are we trying to do? How is that going to be effectuated? And what are some alternate ways in which it could be funded or resourced? I think coming ahead, we're also going to have to be taking a hard look at services in general. Some of the nice to haves that we've gotten used to having in this city. And I hate saying that because people are going to start going, oh, no, we can't get rid of that. Or, we can't possibly change that. We've done that way for 50 years or whatever it may be. But doing the things the same way continually when we know that there's a problem is not going to be the way to fix it. So, again, I think, everybody for coming together and really understanding where we are and really providing their input and feedback so that we can move forward. So I don't want this to be a negative Nelly moment. I don't want this to be Debbie Downer. I think let's take it as a charge to challenge ourselves. We're all bright people. How can we make this work and how can we continue to make our city the great place that it is that we want to live and work in?
Thanks, Debbie. Mayor Pro Tem Cash.
Well, I echo my colleagues, taking the time to look into all the reports that we were given. Thank you to the staff that really have provided great knowledge and information and working diligently throughout this entire time. I know you guys have worked a lot of hours to put this together, and it is a tough time for us. And looking back, every time I come here, I sit down, I think of the young kid in me, and how I grown in this city and really appreciated what I have here. I really do. I love coming out, going to see our city. It's clean. You have a problem, call 911. You got police and fire department going to show up, and it's our city. It's our staff, and I'm glad to see that our staff are motivated and they're happy to be here at work. You know what I mean? Other places they can't say that. And I know that comes at a cost. So, what I'd like to actually, and I challenge myself, is that, what can I do better? What can I do better sitting here in this seat to make our city just a little bit better? So I pass the torch on to somebody else and expect the same thing from them. I understand our employees work diligently, and throughout this whole entire time I've been on council, I've just been very responsive, not just to me, but to our constituents out there, citizens in Laverne. I know because I see all the emails. I get CC'd on a lot of them, which is a good thing. It's okay. We're one team, one family. So it's a tough time. It's a tough decision, but, I know we're going to get through this. And I'd like to see, my challenge is how can I make this place better? What do I got to do? And I remember Person Ford. I know a lot of people. We did have a car dealership here. What can I do about getting another smaller one? I don't know. Maybe I'll go talk to Rivian. Whoever I got to talk to, I will. You want to join me? Sure. It'll be fun. Hey, look, it's a team effort, right? I want to make the city better. I'll continue to do that, and I appreciate the hard work you guys are doing. And we'll wait till tomorrow, and Christy, you're awesome. You're awesome. Thank you. Directors, Parks and Rec. I see you out there. Our fire chief, our police chief, Public Works. No, I'm not done. I got a couple more minutes. Hey, I saw you. Yeah, but thank you guys all, okay? And I appreciate you. One team.
Tim Cash. I think we've all said it. I really appreciate Christy, all of you. The second go around, actually third go around, just kind of realigning things and making sure we're getting the funds like we should be doing, talking to all the departments. It's a time to really get together and let's figure out where we're going to go from here. We don't want to cut any services. I think all of our communities used to our services here. We have great services across the board. Every single department is instrumental in making the city what it is. Not just police, not just fire, not just public works, not just finance, not just, our parks and rec. We have some of the best stuff in the community. People from other communities come and just really appreciate it. So I appreciate all the hard work. We have a hard road ahead. Our unfunded liability is something that upsets me every day because there's nothing you can do about it. And that's where we have to talk to our state and federal partners and say this has got to change because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. We found some monies in our investment pool, which I've been asking for years, and it's finally paying off. But we can't rely on that. We can't say that we're going to get a 24 return on investment. That's what happened to CalPERS, and that's exactly the boat they're in and on the backs of the city. So I think we're very concerned. You've educated us very well. We know the budgets now. You send us out our reports from your staff. But the quarterly reports are very important. We need to be up to speed. Mr. Domer's been great. At this thing of we've always done it this way, as Councilman Rodano stated. That's no longer the case. You dump the bucket out. You figure out what pieces we need, what we don't need, and we need to be part of that team here because we represent our community. We represent the services, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing with our departments and everybody else. So, thank you all. I do appreciate it. This has been. It's been a great learning experience for all of us, and I appreciate our input from our residents, Mr. Bowen, and all you people that. Hello, Mr. Bocock. Nice to see you. But no, it's important. Great input, and we do care. We really do care. We're all residents here, and we really appreciate it. So, with that, I need a motion. Second. Vote, please.
That item was motion by Lau, seconded by Castro-Figuita, and approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. We have the award contract of the citywide tree maintenance and arbor services. City Manager Dormer, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to call up Nicole Houston, who will be providing this budget or agenda item.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I will be presenting an item on the Public Works Department's updated internal procurement process, as well as the recommended action for a contract award for citywide tree maintenance and arborist services. So this presentation covers two main topics. The first is the internal request for proposals, or RFP evaluation process, developed to improve consistency and fairness in public works procurements. And the second is the recommendation to award the citywide tree maintenance and arborist services contract to West Coast Arborists. We decided to update the process due to the high volume and complexity of the procurements that are managed within the Public Works Department. We realized we needed a standardized approach to ensure fairness, consistency, and policy alignment. So we developed tools like the scoring rubrics and interview questionnaires, which are now actively used, including for this contract. As mentioned by the mayor, these tools will assist with the procurements that are on that annual contract list in the next year. So before going any further, a quick note on procurement type. So the request for bids is typically what's seen in the Public Works Department. It focuses mainly on price and fixed specifications, which suit straightforward purchases. However, the request for proposal, or RFP, would evaluate qualifications, experience, and approach along with cost. So since arborist services is a professional service and requires expertise, an RFP would allow us to select the best overall value, not just the lowest price. So through our updated RFP evaluation process, there are two phases. The first phase evaluates qualifications, technical approach, safety, communication, implementation, with an assigned weight of 80%. The phase two portion of the process reviews costs separately after interviews, and those are weighted at 20%, scored using a consistent formula to ensure objectivity. The interviews are conducted by a panel of 3 subject matter experts. Each interview lasts 40 minutes. It's followed by a 20-minute debrief and scoring session. And to maintain fairness, proposers only receive the RFP and scope of work. No additional information beyond these items are shared. The panel uses standardized questions directly tied to the scoring rubric to evaluate each proposal consistently. The first opportunity we had to utilize this process was for our citywide tree maintenance and arborist services. So the city manages over 10,000 trees across parks, parkways, and public properties. West Coast Arborist has provided tree maintenance services since 2002, and our current contract with West Coast Arborist expires June 30th, 2025. To maintain high-quality service and meet procurement requirements, the city issued an RFP through Planet Bids in February 2025. The RFP was issued on February 24th, 25. We received 9 proposals and shortlisted 4 firms for interviews. The scope included routine trimming, removals, emergency response, planting, and inventory and maintenance. Staff recommends awarding the contract to West Coast Arborists, Inc. West Coast Arborists has been, again, our trusted contractor for over 20 years and ranked highest in scoring. Their proposal offered the best value overall and pricing lower than their current rate structure. They are an industry leader, employing ISA-certified arborists, using technology-enabled tree tracking, and serving over 350 agencies. Staff recommends approval of a 5-year term starting July 1, 2025, with 3 optional 1-year extensions. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
So this tree tracking, do they lose trees every once in a while? Just had to throw it out there. They track those trees to make sure they don't leave. Thank you very much. We're going to open up public comment. Thank you, Nicole. Any public comment on this item? Mr. Domer. It's been that. It's that.
Yeah,
that
I don't make
late
his
evening.
kind of money.
Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, sir. Just one question. She said lower rates than we have now, so we're getting a decrease. Cool. Thank you.
That was easy. Anybody else on public comment? Closed public comment. This is what I want to see on these contracts. This is what I want to see. I want to see all the details. I mean, yes, it's a lot of work, but to make sure that we get the best cluck for our buck. Not necessarily cheap, but comparative services that are good services. It's not the cost. They've been doing our work for a long time. They're a huge company. They're across the United States, and they cover it. They got the equipment, they got the people, they got the background. They've also have those checking if trees run away. You got to make sure about that. But anyway, council.
I use in the school district too the RFP process. That it's not only the lowest cost, because a lot of times if you just take the lowest bid, you're not going to get the service and what you need. So the process that you used, and then the extensive interview part of it as well, really appreciate the thorough process. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson.
How long has it been since West Coast has been doing or been contracted with the city? I mean, not how long have they been? Have they been? Are they still in, or have they had a gap in service with them, or have we had a gap in service?
You know, prior to 2002, I don't believe so. I believe it's been consistent, correct? Okay. Yes, they're here in our audience.
Okay. So who would I talk to as far as finding or pointing out some trees that need to be removed? Because we have a liquid amber at Bonita Avenue and C Street that's dead. And there are two in Coons Park. Theodore, they're both Theodores. One is absolutely dead, and the other just has a few green needles on it.
Absolutely dead.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, on those type of issues, send an email to Danny Wu or to myself. The history of trees and cities and what they put sometimes, you put trees in the 50s and you realize in the 90s or 2000s that not the best tree to put in. So it is a science as much of it as it is an art also, because we all love tree canopies. One of these days we will seek a grant funding for an urban forest management plan that looks at our street trees and other things like that. But yeah, direct those to myself and the Public Works Director.
Yeah, I'm not a liquid amber fan, and neither am I a Theodore fan.
They uplift sidewalks, so
yeah.
among.
So I guess you just heard from Councilmember Johnson. Just remove them all, please.
Just take
tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Councilmember Lau.
So I just wanted to thank staff for putting this together, and for I think it's always good as an educational process too, because not everybody, in their professional lives may deal with RFPs. I do. I know other people on this council do, but I think it was good for you to put this out there to say, here's the rubric, here's how we're picking, here's how we're choosing. It's not just willy-nilly. There's an actual plan in place. So I appreciate that. As far as the comment about tracking the trees, I mean, I have Jamie in the audience right now, and we can tell you from our HOA that we have arborists that routinely come back with a different count every time. So, tracking the trees is a good thing.
They come from other areas and plant themselves.
They just plant
overnight.
themselves.
Interesting.
So, but thank you so much for this, and I do think to city manager's comment a little bit earlier. I know we've done some work with the students who've looked at heat mapping. I mean, I think that's down the road. I think it'd be interesting to see, how do you bring down the heat index of the city by the things that we're planting? How are we smart about that? What are things that could be planted that would not, eventually upheave sidewalks that causes another, public works issue to deal with? So I think in that vein, let's think about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lau. Mayor Pro Tem Cash.
No, man, save the trees, man.
That's it.
Save the trees.
I know that's not all.
I mean,
I know that's not all.
No, you guys got it.
You guys got it.
That's about ready to die. I know. Hey, thank you. Take care of our trees, man. Take care of our trees. Japanese cherry blossom. Yeah, well, we'll make it, man. That's all. I'm glad you know your trees. I got an app for that. I mean,
He's writing it down.
Again, I want to thank you guys. This is what I want to see. I've been wanting to see this for years. Finally, we have new staff. We have new management. We need to see these contracts to see what we're paying for. And it's not always the cheapest, like I say, but I do appreciate it. And I have seen West Coast arborists throughout basically California. and they're always have the team, they always have the equipment, and they're always quick, efficient, safe, and not plugging you guys. I just see you guys around a lot. You do service a lot of cities, and you guys know what you're doing, and we do appreciate the cost. We'll be watching you, though. Don't be doing no zingers, okay? No zingers.
And
But
Mr.
no,
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I just want to also reiterate that the agreement, we want to thank the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, so the CJPIA, they helped us with this new agreement. It has some added protections for the city. Also, on the issue of we don't have an arborist on staff, so when there's a tree and if a limb falls or something like that, this contract enhances
Mr. Johnson knows.
the health of the trees and getting people out there to look at it. Just wanted to highlight that recently we had a couple tree falls at Low Brant Park, and so the report that comes back from West Coast Arborists, they do a SOMAR tomography, or I don't know if I got that right, but they put a little device around the tree and they do sensing, and you see where there's cavities within the tree. It looks great on the outside, but inside, trees die too. And so, we appreciate that, and we're enhancing our contract ability with West Coast Arborists through this new agreement.
I look forward to you guys doing a great job. Continue that. Like I said, we've had a number of incidents where we had a lot of trees fall, especially in the winds, and you guys did a great job. Very courteous, very safe, and protect the surrounding areas from our residents. So thank you, and I do appreciate staff. You guys did a great job. This is what I want to see. Been asking for this for years. Give us the information. We make the right decision. You guys know what you're doing. You know your vendors. Just bring it back to us. If it's a little more, but it's a good vendor, that's what we want to see. But I do like your prices. You guys have great prices. With that, I need a motion. Second. No vote.
That item was moved by Lau, seconded by Cashel Thagita, and approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. And remember, 3 trees at the park, Mr. Johnson said. If we could get somebody out there tonight, that would be great. Just don't let the residents know.
Start around 10
Oh, and by the way,
o'clock.
could you please count the trees in their neighborhood, because they don't know how many trees they have. Okay, the final item for this resolution is establishing the Active Transportation and Public Infrastructure Commission, Finance Commission, and Parks and Recreation Commission, and amending the Conflict of Interest Code. City Manager Domer, please provide the staff who will report on this one.
I'm going to handle this one, Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
this is
you
a
go ahead.
continuation of the reorganization of our city commissions. This one is 3 resolutions. It establishes the Active Transportation and Public Infrastructure Commission. Also gets rid of the
Thank you,
old
gentlemen.
Active Transportation Commission. It sets forth the Finance Commission and the Parks and Recreation Commission. So there was the ordinance that is now in effect. These are commissions that are setting the meeting times and also, more importantly, kind of defining the scopes of what these commissions will be. In the future, very soon, we are going to start the notification that there are appointments available for these commissions, and then we'll be bringing those back to the City Council. So if there's any questions, the 3 resolutions are attached. The action is to adopt the resolution and also to adopt an amendment to the Conflict of Interest Code, because we're going to have to add these commissions into those items that are, going to have to file the Form 700s Conflict of Interest for anybody who wants to serve on them.
And this is one vote, one vote, one motion.
One vote,
correct?
staff recommendation, yes.
I'd like to open up public comment. Anybody wish to speak on this item? We're going to close public comment. We're going to bring up the dais. Any comments or questions? Mr. Crosby.
With these proposed commissions, what happens to previous committees so that they're rolled into these commissions?
So basically, right now, most of the commissions are kind of serving on a month-to-month. And so all new commissions, per the ordinance that was passed by you a couple meetings ago and is now in effect, we will be doing the MATI Act noticing, which says basically we have positions available. We'll bring those to you, and then as soon as you make appointments to these new commissions, it could be people who were serving on similar commissions that are being morphed into it. For example, the Active Transportation Committee. They are eligible to put in for this one, or maybe at that point they've served on a committee and they now want to move to the Parks and Rec Commission or something like that. But Those committee members will end when new appointments are made. So
These are all council appointments.
these are all council appointments, and they do go with the council term. So those that are now going to be ending in basically December of 2026 will serve until that point.
Any district
So again,
qualifications?
yeah, there's
Great.
preferences, but you can, if you don't have anybody that's within your district and there's a willing and qualified candidate, you can do that. So.
And so one of our residents spoke earlier about a finance. This is right here. It's a finance commission that could oversee the budgets.
Yes, they will be providing some, sustainability. They'll be working with our finance department on audit oversight, and then also, more importantly, the Measure LV committee will be non-existent, but the duties of that Measure LV committee will be part of the finance commission. So it's finance commission is a very good oversight and working with staff on everything financial. So.
Even though when the Measure LV passed, part of it was an oversight committee. This is written so that that becomes and looks over that.
Correct.
Just want to make sure.
Yes. So, and that's one of the first scopes is the ensuring that the revenues from LV are spent in accordance with the approved spending guidelines established by the City Council based on the intent of the city. Just kind of go through it. Review proposals, make recommendations regarding new revenue sources. Review of the annual independent auditor's comments on auditing procedures, internal controls, finding and conduction of the annual comprehensive financial report. Recommending final report to the City Council. Serving in an advisory capacity for the fiscal sustainability initiatives. Assisting in the annual review of the city's investment policy. Providing input and serving as a resource in matters such as internal controls and multi-year projections. Other duties as may be assigned by the City Council, Manager, or Director of Finance.
Thank you. Last piece to make sure that when we have any open commission seats or looking for information that we always include, residents have asked, we include it with our packet for our meetings as well, so that it is available when it's publicly viewed for our meetings, our notes.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Nothing? Nope. Councilmember, you good? Mayor Pro Tem Cash. First of all, I appreciate Mr. Domer because we've been talking about this for some time regarding our committees and commissions and this and that, organizing them and putting them in basically in writing and making sure that they're in conformity with other cities that do this. I do appreciate that. It's organizing them, and we can always make more committees, commissions as we choose. But right now, these have some good meat and potatoes, so I think this will be good for our residents to have input. So, with that, I would accept the motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Vote, please.
Motion by Castelfagita, seconded by Crosby. Approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. With that, there's no other business tonight, so we move on to public comments. It's the time set aside for anyone wishing to address the City Council on items not listed on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The Brown Act prohibits the City Council from engaging in discussion on any item not on the posted agenda. Your concerns may be referred to staff or placed for discussion at a later date. We're going to do some time limit tonight because it's getting late. At this time, those wishing to speak can come up to the podium. Yes, sir.
Still voting? Good evening, Council. Thank you for providing this forum for me to express my concerns. I want to inform the Council of a private nuisance that's taking place on my property due to the city's actions. And that nuisance results from a paddle hitting a pickleball. All right? So my wife and I live at 3098 Peyton Road, Laverne. And we bought the house way before the pickleball courts were developed in Las Flores Park. So the sounds from the pickleball cause substantial interference to our enjoyment in our backyard, in our property, to be honest. We have no peace and quiet if we're in our backyard because of the sound. And I don't want to go, I got all kind of ordinances and noise controls and all that, but I'm just going to give a couple of them. The Los Angeles County noise controls say in residential areas, the decibel levels cannot go over, it should be 45 or less. And in ours, if I have my sound meter out in the backyard, it'll be from 45 to 55. Not all the time, depends on the wind, but a lot of times 45 to 55 decibel level. Also, the Environmental Protection Agency has come out, the EPA, with their own modeled noise control due to pickleball. And one of the things they tell cities or communities or whatever is all pickleball courts should be set back 800 feet from a residential area. Our backyard's 130 feet from the pickleball court, all right? And they talk about impulsive noise being a lot more annoying than just regular noise. Impulsive noise obviously being when the pickleballs are hit. And then their last thing, and I don't quite understand the terminology, but they have this audible standard, they say. And they say no one should ever be able to hear a pickleball when they're in their home. And in our house, with the windows closed, we can actually hear the pickleball noise after it hits the racket. Now, the decibel levels are really low in our house, but again, we're reasonable people, normal health. Okay? Any reasonable person would object to this kind of noise. My last thing is to talk about damages. I got all kinds of peer-reviewed journal scientific articles saying noise can cause hearing problems, cardiovascular problems, blood pressure, all kind of problems. And I think a lot of you know that just from common sense. Also, what most people don't know, though, and I'm going to about our property damage, and I'm going to repeat what one real estate agent, Sam Dudgeon, states: the residential property values 1 to 2 blocks away, which we are, from a pickleball court is decreased by 5 to 10%. And I don't think, unless you're involved in real estate, probably too many people know that. So my conclusion to all of you is come out tomorrow to Las Flores Park, get 130 feet away from the pickleball court, and you will really realize the substantial interference it's causing on our property. And again, thanks for providing me for this forum.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on public comment? Mr. Bowen. Not Mr. Bowman.
Try to keep this short. Want to actually, on a lighter side, want to break national news that my 13-year-old grandson, Clayton Richard Crudwick, is playing baseball in a tournament named Coopertown Dream Park Tournament in Coopertown, New York, home of the Hall of Fame. Today, he hit a home run in all 3 games he played.
Whoa.
Over the fence,
Not Shohei?
crushed him.
Shohei Ohtani? Is that his name?
13 years old a couple of weeks ago, and just baptized in his local church in Texas. So I'm very proud of the son of my Bonita High graduate, Whitney Bowen.
Wow. Congratulations.
Secondly, I just want to cash 250-year anniversary this weekend of the Army. I can imagine you're pretty proud. You got it. Would like to get an update. Routinely, I mentioned this last time, of the fiber, what the status of the fiber. We heard about this, a contract, but haven't heard anything since. And also an update on the Afferbach page, moving the youths, which I hate that phrase, up into that portion of our city. And the last thing is, I continue to ask for the city to sponsor town hall meetings so that residents could come in, speak to council members, speak to city officials, and actually get feedback instead of, like tonight, no feedback because of the Brown Act. So thank you very much, and go Laverne.
Congratulations on your grandson. That's cool.
Thank you.
That is cool. Thank you. Anybody else on public comment? We're going to go ahead and close public comment. Mr. Domer, you want to comment on the AFBA page situation and the website, what we've done, and also on our fire, on our update on our fire clearing?
Yes, and I'll give a couple of other ones also. Again, if you go to www.cityoflaverne.org/camps, we're starting to compile information there, getting information from probation, and we are meeting with them on a monthly basis, if not more, if needed. So I do appreciate that Mayor Pro Tem Cash is helping us continue to have those contacts. On the fiber, actually, that agreement is over to Crown Castle right now, and it's now in the city attorney's queue to approve the form, and then it comes to me. And then once we have that MOU fully executed, then I'll get from Crown Castle what their schedule is to get that rapid connect. And again, what that is a fiber line going up from the current terminus, which is on Wheeler, around Oak Mesa, and we're going to take it up to Golden Hills, and then over and around, hopefully even down to the Bronza Fire Station, so that we can start.
They are going to go across.
That is
all
the
way
goal.
around.
So
Good. They need to.
That we can start connecting some of the small cell wireless, and we actually did have a small cell wireless from Verizon, which I know is greatly needed, contact us. So yeah, the MOU is almost fully executed, and then we'll get going on that. But I don't have any other specifics as to, like, yes, small cell wireless will be there in 3 months or 4 months. But as soon as I get that information, I want to yell it from the top of.
How about if I just call you on my cell phone?
I can't hear you when you call me
say,
on your
yeah,
cell phone.
or I'll go to Rick's house and we'll call you on his cell phone. Jesus.
Trust me, yeah. When I was working in the Wilderness Park, I couldn't take calls, so I had to go up and then find some place, because as I was driving, there was a water leak coming from the golf course, and I had to find a place for service.
It's called Golden Hills Road. As you turn on Wheeler to make a right on Golden Hills Road, park right by the first set of trees beyond that house. You got the great service in it. You go past that, forget it. You're done.
And then on the sponsoring of town hall meetings, we will have something on the July 7th meeting about that. We're looking at working with Hillcrest for a first town hall over there in August. But we want to bring forward to the city council on the July 7th meeting some information about town hall meetings and, going about with that. So let's see. Also from pickleball concerns, before the gentleman leaves, I'll get his address. And there is sound attenuation material that we can put on the fencing, but that is the chief complaint about any pickleball court. So there's a lot of design modifications that can go in, and not saying that it's good to hear that we finally have a complaint, but it is. Pickleball courts have been going on, and that is something that we want to make sure that we attend to. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But it is a budget item that we will have to put in. So.
Town walls.
Yeah. So. And again, it's a material that you can put onto the chain link fencing that is up there. It's a, sound attenuation.
The outside of a tennis ball.
So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crosby.
Not a lot, because of the time of night, too. This is not about one of our residents, but I had the pleasure of going to a graduation party to a gentleman that is going to the Naval Academy. He's going to be playing golf there, earning scholarship, but also become an officer. His name is Sebastian Alonso from the city of Azusa, and just really proud of him. I've known him since he was 7 years old, and now he is 18 going on, and just really excited for him and his family for doing that. Awesome. 4th of July, festivities coming. Please be safe. No fireworks. It's getting hot, and the brush is really dry. And thank you to our fire department that is keep us safe, but please our residents, no fireworks out, and everybody be safe and see everybody at the parade.
Mr. Johnson.
Just a shout out for my mother. She turned 90, and we had the whole family down to celebrate. It was great.
At Hillcrest.
At Hillcrest.
There you
yes.
go.
Marvelous.
Yeah. Marvelous. Marvelous. Councilmember Lau.
So I'll go through this quickly. Just a reminder, I know. Wow. Please get your tickets for 4th of July if you want to enter a float, if you want.
How much are they? What is the deal?
So tickets now through June 27th are $15 if you buy them early. If you don't, it will be $20. It's online. It's really easy to do. If you'd like to enter, we'd love to have your float in the parade. And the Harley Riders have registration up until July 1st. So just reminders for everybody, come out and celebrate with us. There's a Tri-City mental health meeting this Wednesday at 5 for anyone who's interested. There's a YFAC meeting next Tuesday at 5 for anyone interested. And then I had the opportunity to, as one of the Fairplex liaisons for council, attend the meeting with them on June 4th. And so a couple things that are happening in and around the area would be Fairplex Cheers. So for any of you that have been before, it's the event where there's beer and wine and food bites. That is happening on June 21st for anyone who's looking for something to do. And then something I thought was really cool, there's an artist drop-in that's starting every Friday up until August from 2 to 6 p.m. in the Millard Sheets building at Fairplex. It's free. They will have artist supplies there. So if you want to go paint, if you want to go draw, if you have kids that want to go paint or draw, like I said, it's every Friday in the Millard Sheets building. So I thought that'd be a cool thing for anyone who's looking for maybe someplace to have their kids be enriched during the summer. And then for those of you who aren't aware, Fuel Fest is coming on Saturday, June 28th. It's, I think, put on in part by Paul Walker's brother in his memory. And it's a drag and drifting. So if anyone who watched Tokyo Drift or any of the Fast and Furious, that's 2 to 9 p.m. on Saturday the 28th at the wherever the drags. So it'll be up, yeah. And then just wanted to also just throw a shout out to Cassie, who participated in the Pomona Pride Group's Love Wins Festival. So really great to see lots of people in the community come together and celebrate and really be welcoming. So with that, that's it for me. Have a good week. Be kind, and we'll see you 4th of July.
See me Saturday.
Oh, that's right. Oh, no, I'll see you at the dedication. You're right.
There you go. Hey, Mayor Pro Tem Cash.
Keep my comments quick, but thank you for all you guys supporting our community. I attended the Mosquito Vector Control Board again, and as a friendly reminder to please no stale water. But however, if you need any of them, those fish, those mosquito fish, yeah, please let me know. Please let me know. They got abundant amount, so I'd like to pass that out. Happy 4th of July is coming up. Our next time we're going to be able to see you will be after the 4th of July, so I'll be looking forward to seeing you at our 4th of July event. And that's all I have. I want to thank everybody again for your continued support to our city, our staff. Thank you again. Parks and Rec. Like I said again, I can't stop saying that. I love Parks and Rec.
Well, first of all, thank you all for being here. I appreciate all the comments, but also don't forget our dedication of the Gold Line A station is the last station to be recognized. 10 o'clock on Saturday. It won't last but about an hour and a half. There'll be some stuff. You get some little tchotchkes and be fun. There'll be a lot of dignitaries there, so it's going to be a lot of fun. They'll be there. Other than that, I lost my glasses. Our next regular scheduled council meeting will be on Monday, July 7th. Study session and or closed session will start at 5:30 p.m. Regular meeting will start at 6:30 p.m. As a reminder, upcoming events and meetings are posted on the last page of the City Council agenda. Again, before we adjourn this evening's meeting, I want to again take a moment to honor the memory of John Davis, who passed away on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, at the age of 75. And Marlou Faustini had surgery on her hip today. Things went well, but keep her in your prayers. She's an icon with our city, and her husband, Norm Faustini, with the police department and the service they've given. So kind of keep her in your thoughts and prayers. If you know her, give her a call, give her a buzz. I don't know if she's back home yet, but we'll keep posted again. And in John's memory, with gratitude for all he gave to this community and for this service to the city of Laverne, we adjourn tonight's meeting in John Davis's honor. We are adjourned at 9:53 p.m. Thank you all.